Sorry to keep you waiting. Complicated business.
Like, you've got ogres.
You got ogres.
That's funny.
I like the way he was moving there. Like it's one of those like new horror movies, you know, where they do that like, oh, like the bodies are moving. Let's do that again.
Like, you've got ogres.
I have no idea why it came out like that. It didn't look like that.
Max Headroom.
That's probably the way it really is.
Yeah. All right. I'll let you take control for a moment while I say hello to everybody. Jeff from Denkar. $2 Canadian. Greetings all. Let's get this adventure started.
President, is that like a lot more money now? Is that like $50?
Let's hope so. Frederico, thank you.
Thank you.
Coming re-upping your membership.
Thank you so
and
much.
All right.
Badger just celebrated a milestone. Thank you all. Already got 77 in here. We'll bring on our guest in just a moment. Good to see some familiar names and
who knows who's there?
who's who anymore? Didn't you guys learn anything from Roots? Your name is Toby. Stop trying to get uppity. All right. All right, so I got to take control here for just a moment.
All yours.
Ta-da!
Look at that.
You know him. Some of you love him. Some of you maybe don't love him. You just like him. I don't know. We love him. RPG Pundit, how you doing?
Hello. It's good to be here.
So you made a video today, and it was on the Satanic Panic.
That's right.
And this was actually meant, when we kind of conceived this earlier today, there was going to be a third member here. So this is all kind of based off of a tweet. Go ahead, throw that up there.
Just disappeared.
Yeah.
It's all right. By John Delarose. Patrick Demo, $2. He's got ogres.
He's got ogres.
He's got them. Yeah.
You got ogres. You got ogres. You've got ogres.
All right, I'll need control here for a moment.
All yours.
I'm going to show the tweet that kind of started it all off. First, let me do this. Okay. I think everybody can. Maybe not. There we go. Okay. Kind of small. See if we can make it bigger. There we go. So John Delarose. Now, full disclosure, I like John. John's been very friendly to me.
Baseball's been very, very good to me.
Baseball been very good to me. I like John, but he he created kind of a firestorm this week with this tweet. There was never a satanic panic. It was a mainstream media psyop to remove Christianity from the culture. That's why our culture sucks right now, because boomers fell for it. Don't be like boomers. Okay, so that, like I said, that created a bit of a controversy, shall we say?
Yeah.
And that got you probably to thinking. I don't know if you were planning on doing your video even before that or after it. So you kind of made a response video, but I thought it was done very well. Asterion Moloch, $2. What's good, people? We are Asterion. Thank you. Good to see you. Yeah, one more here, and then we'll let you do. Mercurius has gifted one Diversity and Dragon membership. Thank you so much,
Thank
Mercurius.
you. Yep, that's very nice.
Remember, your name is Toby. All right, so what led you to make the video? And I thought the video was very well done. I didn't think it was disrespectful to John at all. I think it just kind of answered his questions.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
So in the first place, I like John too. We get along pretty well, I think, and this wasn't meant to be disrespectful to him. But I'd never considered doing a video about the history of the Satanic Panic until I saw that tweet and the reactions to that tweet. And I think that in the first place, John, the thing about, I didn't realize this. I thought he was about my age, or maybe close, our age, we could say.
Yeah.
Because I think we're pretty close in age. But turns out he was born in 1982, so he's actually a lot younger. He looks older, I guess. But so that means, like, this is the thing. If you look at the history, and in my video, I give very detailed history of like the origins of kind of the religious right concern about satanic influences in the culture, and then when it kind of explodes when you have the Satan sellers, and then you have Michelle Remembers, and then it basically, the Satanic Panic reached its peak around 1985, 1986, which was when you had Michelle Remembers came out, which is a very famous book about a woman who was going to her therapist. She ends up having these memories of being horrifically abused in a ritual context by a cult of Satanists, and at the same time, that was when Bothered About Dungeons and Dragons formed, right? Led by Phyllis Seckler, whose son famously killed himself, and she kind of blamed herself for that. And then that was also the peak of media attention on the Satanic Panic, which was, you could say it actually, the media attention heightened a bit more when there was the McMartin case, which was a daycare where
I remember
there were accusations made of again, ritual satanic abuse being done to the kids.
Yeah,
everybody involved there was arrested and charged, and for like 3 years they went to court, and then the case fell completely apart because it was obviously it wasn't real. But so Delarose, at the peak period, he was a little kid, right? he didn't live through that, but what he did live through is later on, because the thing is, up until 1990, from the like the earliest reports that got somewhat on TV in, like, let's say, the very late 70s or early 80s, all the way until the McMartin case falls apart, the media was very involved in promulgating these cases, but they were doing so entirely from the point of view of this is real, and this is you should panic about this, run through the streets or whatever. Like, they wanted that because it was sensationalist and it gave them massive ratings, And it was only after 1990, when the McMartin case falls apart, that the media turns on a dime and says, well, you see, this is proof that the religious right are just a bunch of crazy people, and obviously, this was always nonsense, and we never believed it. It was them. It was, the moral majority and all those people, right? So by the time John was old enough to kind of have his experiences getting into geek hobbies, what he saw was basically the media putting the blame on religious people for this kind of fanaticism, when in fact, all through the 80s, it was a combination of the media working together with the religious people doing that, right? And I was uniquely qualified, I think, to do this video because one of my degrees is in comparative religious studies, and I spent a very long time doing work that involved the study of phenomena in modern religion, and I'd researched this stuff years ago, so it was I wanted to give a very complete timeline of how it actually went, and then, like, the interesting effects that ended up having on the religious culture of Christians in America.
I want to get back to something you mentioned earlier. Let me pick up a couple of super chats from
before
our
you start that
loyal
one,
members.
Double D. There was one from Patrick.
Yeah, Patrick, I saw that. He wished you congratulations on Domino. Right? Is that your new
Yeah,
cat?
That's right.
Thank you, Patrick Demo, our
He's
good
asleep right now.
DB, good friend, $10. Yard Dog Brothers, Sword Sisters, hell of a day. Oh my lord, Mom's house burned down. Looks like a wipeout. Everyone is okay. The biggest concern is if the kittens got out. Oh man, thoughts and prayers are appreciated. You got them, buddy.
Absolutely.
Need the show to decompress. Well, I hope we can give you a couple hours of entertainment here, but that is terrible. I'm sorry to hear that, DB. Mac Thompson, $5. If there was no Satanic Panic, then why did my mom burn my effing D&D books in the early 80s, John? And see, I think that's... Go ahead.
Can I make a little comment on that? So I think that John wasn't saying that there was no Satanic Panic. He was saying that the Satanic Panic was a psyop. And we have to go into what is the definition of a psyop there, right? But that basically it was something that someone did to trick religious people into becoming more extremist, and it was there. That was the way to create a rift between religious communities in America and other people who saw them as extremists, right? So he thinks it was somehow organized, and that's part of the thing. And in this video, I talk about all of the major players in there: the media, the psychologists, the pastors, and there were a lot of grifters that obviously gripped onto the Satanic Panic thing, right? That made books that, like, one of the most famous books, The Satan Sellers. For 20 years, that guy made bank on having claimed to have been a member of a secret satanic church that had 1,000 members and did human sacrifices before he turned to the Lord. And then he became, a speaker all over in churches all over America. He was sometimes used as a cult expert by law enforcement. And it was only 20 years later that finally an evangelical magazine actually looked into his history and realized that it was all fake. That was a complete fraud. The guy had always been involved in Christian churches, and he was always looking for an angle, and he found one that really worked, because Christians like that story, right? That I was the high priest of Satan, and then now I'm a true believer, and I'm going to expose this evil, and now you can fight it too. Like it was a very good scam.
Oh, yeah.
But scammers are not the same as a psyop. A psyop implies that there was like an organized plan to try to manipulate Christians as a whole to overreact.
I consider it like kind of like COVID. I think it was, to use the parlance, in our neck of the woods, I think it was an attack of opportunity. I think the media back then, they maybe heard some of the rumblings, about like D&D being evil and satanic. And they're latching onto stories about suicide, and stuff like that. Stuff that isn't.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at just the religious stuff, you can look at stuff written by that. I think his name is William Schonblein, or and those kind of folks. Where they'll tell you like, oh no, you're spiritually casting real magic, by doing this. But that's sort of like the Christian component of it. The media was just kind of obsessed with, well, this person got too far into it, was crazy, and then unalived themselves. So I think it was kind of one of those things where I can see maybe where John was coming from. It really was kind of reinforced and driven by the media. You had like 60 Minutes doing a little bit like a special on it in like 1985. So it's almost turns into like a chicken and an egg thing, because I understand the churches didn't necessarily like it back then, but I mean there also wasn't like an internet back then where they could kind of rally around. So what kind of served that purpose? And I think it was the media that was kind of the lightning rod, and everybody could kind of point to, well, see, the media's telling you all these stories about how it's bad, and people are killing themselves, and getting lost in the game, and that just kind of reinforced the religious aspect. So I think it was a bad.
There you have to buy into one of two possible theories, right? The first theory is that the media realized that this was something that they could use eventually to hurt Christianity, and they spent about 5 or 6 years pumping up Christianity's fanaticism before switching on them and suddenly attacking them, which would require an enormous amount of careful planning, right? Or the other is the media in the 1980s were much more, they were much less focused, let's say, on this kind of political divide that we see today. It's not, back then, yes, media tended to be progressive even back then, but they were mainly interested in making money, right? And those stories made money, right? Kids kids are killing themselves by playing D&D, right? It's like, reefer madness or whatever, right? It's the same deal, right?
Oh yeah,
And so
you dream of leading with a story like that. You dream of leading with that kind of stuff.
yeah,
It's
they
salacious.
grifted off of that for 5 years, and then when it went sour on them because of the McMartin case, they switched and put the blame entirely on Christianity. But that was just a reactive move to protect themselves rather than say that that was the plan all along.
Right. Chris Miller, your buddy, and Chris will look at 101 Salmations, guys. There's actually a really cool source book for Baptism of Fire. I have the link for it in the description for this live stream if you're interested in checking it out. We will look at a couple pages of it in a little bit here. There you go. Baptism of Fire. Yep. So 101 Sarmations. Pundit will expound on that in a little bit. But his publisher, Chris Miller, our friend here every week, says there is definitely a mainstream media psyop to get rid of Christianity in Western countries. I agree. But the Satanic Panic of the 80s was a real grassroots attack of D&D and heavy metal music. Yeah, and it was really boosted and reinforced by the media. John Edgar, $5. There was no Satanic Panic. Dude can stuff himself. I lived it very close in an Arkansas Bible Belt, a town where D&D fans were openly attacked. BS. Thank you, John. Chris Miller, $10. Again, thank you, Chris.
Doubling up.
Hell yeah.
Get him a coupon.
It did drive lots of Gen Xers away from churches. Yeah, that's fair. But that has largely been reconciled now. Yeah, Gen X has kind of gone back to being pretty darn conservative. The current religious right are not those people. Yeah.
I mean, Chris is definitely right that there is now obviously a sort of psyop of the media to try to paint Christianity always in the worst light possible. That's been going on.
Yes.
Mainly it started sometime around 2000, 1999, somewhere around there, as globalism became a bigger deal and they wanted to downplay the role of traditional culture and traditional religion, right? But that's a newer phenomenon, and it's not something that was happening in a big way in the 1980s, or at least not exclusively to Christianity.
Yeah, agreed. Larry's puckered butthole, $2. The media then and now are full of turds. Yes. And Jeff Hatch, our good friend, celebrating 18 months of membership. Thank you so
awesome.
much, Jeff.
All right,
All of you guys who
congratulations.
are members, donate memberships, give super chats. We love you. Thank you so much. I will say this. I do understand. This is touchy, and maybe this is something that maybe John didn't count on, that this is such a personal thing with so many people, because there are stories. Like I know T-shirted Historian has a story, he got his books, I think, yeeted when he was a kid. And I'll tell you what, I'll tell you my story. Mine was probably pretty common, and that was, I got D&D, everything was going fine, and then all of a sudden these stories started popping up. And I had a sister who's a little bit kind of, school marmy, especially at the time, and she was already saying like, "Are you sure? I keep hearing stories about this." I don't know. And then she would tell my mom, and then my mom would be like, "Hey, is this okay?" And I would be like, "Yeah, Mom, it's okay." And then maybe like one or two times more, she'd be like, "Is that all right? Are you sure there's no trouble there?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, Mom, it's fine." For me, it just caused like an inconvenience. And I was kind of like, well, maybe I should just kind of hide my book just to avoid, talking about it. But I do know there's, real religious families where people, as the super chatter said earlier, they got their books literally taken away and burned. I
knew people that happened to. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think John, he's I see what he's trying to say, but I think he didn't count on that aspect of it. And people just kind of looked past what he said. And, basically they said, "How dare you say the Satanic Panic wasn't real?" But like you mentioned, he's not really saying that. No. He's just saying the reason for it was not what you think it was. It wasn't explicitly religious people.
He's very Christian, right? And so it's kind of ironic that his argument is that Christianity was fooled. It was duped by these secular forces into overreacting or something like that, right? Where if you watch my video, I say that they had a set of legitimate concerns. And when you look at like the world that they lived in, like that generation, the people that ended up being in charge, say, of the moral majority in that time, the world that they had in like 1960 was so different from what it had become by 1974, right? That it was that, like, you can understand why they would think that there were like evil forces at play there, right? In some ways, it was a more radical shift than what we Gen Xers have seen in the course of our lifetime, right? Because we've always had kind of a progressive world around us, right? The progressive world has become more and more stupid as we get older, but it was always there, right? And they went from a world that was, a society, an American society that was profoundly godly, right, and very sectarian, right? Remember, in 1960, people were seriously arguing that as a Catholic, JFK wasn't qualified to be a president,
Yes.
right?
Yeah,
Like,
that was
the world that they were from. And then by 1972, you had like, Anton LaVey, another famous grifter, and in the Church of Satan openly operating and doing stuff. And, you had all these weird sects and cults, and it would have felt to them like Christianity was under attack, right? But the interesting thing was the consequences of what led to the creation of the moral majority, the religious right, that changed the way it separated some of the more secular people away from Christianity for a long time, but it also brought the different Christian denominations together in a way that they've never had been before, right? So like before, each denomination had their own little causes, right? Like the pro-life movement was largely Catholic for most of its early period. And each group had their own thing, right? Like the Baptists were very against drugs and drinking and stuff like that. And, everyone had their own particular causes, and they didn't talk to each other, and they didn't particularly get involved in the causes of these other guys, right? But then by the time that the Satanic Panic went through, you suddenly had these denominations that used to never talk to each other, that all of a sudden were working together because they realized it's us versus them now, right? It's like, it matters a lot less whether you're a Baptist or a Methodist than, whether you're either of those, or, somebody who's performing witchcraft at the pro-choice rally, like that suddenly you had it caused a unification of the disparate Christian groups. And remember, Christianity, like Christian churches and Christians as a voting bloc, were not particularly powerful in the time before this kind of change that happened over the 60s. Obviously in some places, like Catholics in Boston were powerful, right? Yeah. Because there were a lot of them, right? Mormons in Utah. But as a full-scale voting bloc, you couldn't really, in 1960, you couldn't really appeal to all the Christians of America because they didn't agree with each other, right? But
you have to go denomination.
They were a united voting bloc, Yeah.
Asterion Moloch for $20 says he never liked JDA, always thought he was disingenuous, holier than thou, cry bully. But I saw him use Howard Andrew Jones. Who's Howard Andrew Jones? What am I missing there? Do you know who that is?
No idea.
Let us know in the say it in the chat, Asterion. I'm not exactly sure who Howard Andrew Jones' death, in a tweet to deflect someone asking him questions on this. Needless to say, he's not a fan. Thank you for the $20. I disagree. I've always liked John. John has always treated me fair.
I like John a lot too. I keep trying to get him on the RPG Pundit encounter, but just like tonight, he can't. He's got scheduling.
Yeah, he's a little touchy right now, but and I do understand. Sometimes you do things, and maybe you're firing out a tweet, and you just think like, to get a couple hundred, likes, it'll generate a little bit, and then this thing just went.
We're getting some feedback that he's an author.
Yeah, well, John, if you end up watching this after the fact, I still want to get you on the RPG Pundit encounter. I'd love to have conversations with you about this, about Christianity in general, and about another tweet that you recently made about how role-playing games require require that you have a Christian mindset. I think that's a very interesting comment.
Yeah, I think he needs to know that you're not like a gotcha guy. You're kind of an intellectual, and you're gonna give him a lot of respect. I tried to tell him that tonight too, but I don't think he's ready yet. I think he just kind of wants to lay low, and I understand. And I don't think it's you. I think it's mainly like there's some, as we see, there's some upset folks in the chat, who take it personally, and you understand.
Well, yeah, I do he's a shitlord. I'm a shitlord. I understand how that works, right?
Look, he's a guy of faith that's going to rub some people the wrong way. I do understand. Larry's puckered butthole for $2. He blames The Exorcist for freaking everyone out. Yeah, maybe.
Well, The Exorcist was like, there was major Christian pushback about The Exorcist. There really was. Yeah. And it's funny because somebody pointed out, well, but movies like The Exorcist and Rosemary's Baby, both of which were very early cases of a Christian backlash against those kind of movies. They actually seem very kind of moralistic to us today, right? Like the Satan worshiper or the devil that possesses the little girl. They're obviously the bad guys there, right? It's not saying like today it seems so lame, right? Like it's not like movies today that'll say well, oh no, Cruella de Vil is actually the good guy or whatever, right? Like stuff like that.
Yeah.
But from their point of view, they felt that it kind of like presented dangerous ideas,
Yeah. Jeff from Denkar, friend up in Canada. Good to see you, Jeff, from $5 Canadian. It does strike me that so many of the 80s anti-D&D preachers denied D&D while saving your soul for $19.95 a month to fund their missionary yachts. Yes, they're grifters. They're grifters too. Oh, Crafty Matt. Crafty, they really made a game of it in the second half. I actually turned it off, and I was just I just had the score up on my phone, and then I started to see they scored once, and I'm like, I'm gonna tune in. They just dug themselves too deep of a hole, but they don't have anything to be ashamed of. I think they lost to a better team. But I was thinking about you. I was gonna say something. I'm like, nah, Matt's hurting. So, there's
We'll
always
leave it
next
alone.
year,
Right?
Always next year. Yeah, I mean, like I said, it didn't touch me the way it touched a lot of people. So I was there, I was through it, and what you maybe didn't touch on was the kind of after effect in second edition. That was kind of the fallout, even though the religious stuff was kind of gone by then. By the early 90s, it was all gone from like the mainstream media. But we still had to kind of deal with it in game because that's when they put in the Tanari and the Batazu and the Blood War and all that stuff.
It was being developed from as early as 87 or 88, and that was still pretty peak period of the Satanic Panic, right? And they were really being harassed by bothered about Dungeons and Dragons, and that was when the ritual abuse cases were starting to show up. All these. It wasn't just McMartin. There were several other cases where they kind of claimed, kids were kind of manipulated in interviews to claim that they were being ritually abused, and then they would arrest people needless. And so like I can understand why TSR was concerned about it. I've said it many times that I think that on the whole the Satanic Panic was something that ultimately helped D&D a lot more than it hurt, and because it was much cooler to be a D&D because I was there like just at that kind of period of time. That was when I started playing, right? And when I started, I was the least cool kid at the table, right? And a few years later, by the early 90s, I was routinely the least nerdy kid at the table, right? The one that was, I guess, I don't know if cool, but let's say the least uncool one at the table, at least, right? And that was because it was a lot cooler to say you were into D&D when people thought that D&D meant that you were going to be like, using satanic rituals, than when they thought that D&D meant that you were going to live in your mom's basement for the rest of your life and never get laid, right? Like that was a really bad trade-off that TSR did by not, just going with it and being unapologetic.
Frank Dazzleby, $5. It started getting to people who were not. What is that? Someone's buzzing here.
People want me to go to work.
It started it started getting to people who were not previously or particularly religious, like my mom, and I had convos like you described, Ian Double D. Yeah, I think mine was probably the majority. It was just parents who love their kids and were concerned and just maybe trusted them, but just wanted to like make sure. And then that probably depended on how religious your household was. If you were kind of just a little bit religious or just kind of normal religious, maybe
cult that I was in used to, just because there was no internet, they just blamed everything on like Midwestern towns, and they would always just say something like, "Oh, I heard in Wisconsin someone like crawled into the underground tunnels, and
steam tunnels,
right, and got attacked by a plague of rats," or they just blamed everything on Midwestern towns.
Yeah, it happened
because it
happened out there.
Yeah,
right.
because there's no way to research it.
I commented in my video that I went to a private school, right? That was a Catholic private school. I was raised Catholic, and it wasn't a super religious school. It was actually an academic school that happened to be Catholic, right? But even there, and this was already by then. This was the very early '90s, 1990, 91, something like that. There were like there was like the administration of the school was concerned about people playing D&D in the school, which was really interesting in retrospect, because of course Catholicism was like, this was not the panic about D&D had originally started with the Protestant denomination. So this shows you that even by then they were all starting to like come together with similar concerns about what was going on in the culture. Not that I appreciated that at the time. I just thought they were bastards, and I refused to stop playing.
Mike Necrofen brings up a good point. This was always my point too. Even back then, that like most of the time, you're as a D&D player, you're good, even if you do have kind of a shit stir in the party, and you're fighting these horrible creatures. And he doesn't understand how these church ladies miss that. Well, look, people have a blind spot. Look, we just went through a 7-year period, Mike, where Donald Trump kept getting, chastised for saying that there were good people on both sides. Yet it seems that for half the people, or all the people alleging this in a bad way, they couldn't be bothered to play the next 10 seconds where he said, "Oh, and by the way, I'm not talking about the Nazis, blah, blah, blah." They did. The simple fact is they didn't care because it didn't fit their preconceived notion.
If you look at the literature about Dungeons and Dragons during the Satanic Panic, it would say stuff like, well, you can play a character who's a thief, and he's encouraged to murder people, by surprise, and you can play a wizard, and there's detailed descriptions of the items you need to make the spells. And there's a spell called the death spell where you can just kill someone, and there are demons in the monster manual and all this sort of stuff, right? So it was selective
By the way,
propaganda.
That's 100% true. In fact, I was going to show a sample of that. Before I do that, Asterion Moloch, $5. That cult I was in never fails as a mental flashbang, no matter how many times I hear it. Oh boy, you may have a brother in cultist. I need control here for just a moment.
It's all yours.
I just wanted to pull up something real quick. Yeah, and this is kind of what I was talking about. Let me see here. We'll add this in here. Yeah, so this is on the Chick site, the Jack Chick site, and I know Jack, takes some shit obviously for Dark Dungeons, but. I don't know. In his own mind, look, he was a Christian. He was trying to like save people's souls. And as you get older, you kind of understand like he was just taking the path that he thought would do that the best. But this is by this William Schnoblin, I think is maybe how it's pronounced. But if you have a chance to read this, we won't read it all, but he's talking about D&D and Christianity. And one of the things he says is abstain from all appearance of evil, maybe in Thessalonians. Much of the trappings, art, figurines, and writing within D&D certainly appears evil, to say the least of it. I never quite like that kind of stuff because, I mean, what does that mean? I mean, do accounts of, was it St. George and the dragon? Is that who fought the dragon?
It is.
I mean, is that also evil? Evil trappings. If you read stories about that or show figures. So I think he's more on to like the magic part of it. And I don't know if this is the one. He does talk about this, Pundit. Maybe you can. I don't know if you have any special insight into this because I'm wondering who this person is. Back in '86, a fellow appeared on the 700 Club who was a former employee and game writer for TSR. He testified right on the show that he got into a wrangle with the management there because he saw that the rituals were too authentic and could be dangerous. He protested to his bosses and was basically told that this was the intent, to make the games as real as possible. He felt conscience-stricken, even though he was not a Christian at the time, and felt he had to resign from the company. So this is one of those things that I'm not sure if this is true. Was he just kind of making that up? Although I guess if he's referring to the 700 Club, I guess there's probably probably something out there that maybe somebody can find that interview, or if anybody in the chat knows who it was.
People in the chat are talking about how it's almost as if Dungeons and Dragons has been replaced by Harry Potter as their like thing that they're going after.
Yeah. Well, lately that's because of the author, and her outspoken. Her outspokenness against, trans ideology. But yeah, for a while, I think there was some Christian pushback to Harry Potter, although it didn't have, a quarter of the force that, they did in the 1980s.
Catholic schools had Dungeons and Dragons class, game clubs or, clubs.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me that it was a little bit kind of laxer, I guess, in Catholic schools and churches.
I went to parochial school, but I got out at like 81-ish. So that didn't happen. That didn't happen. But I looking back, if that had happened during that period of time, my Catholic school would have been really fiercely against it. If Dungeons and Dragons would have
I mean,
came
it's a
out,
different time.
Right.
That was a grade school though, right? Rogan?
Middle school.
Middle school.
Yeah.
Our high school had a Dungeons and Dragons club. Catholic high school.
Yeah. This is kind of what I think this is the crux of this Sean Blind's argument. The question becomes, if a person, quote unquote, innocently works an authentic ritual that conjures up a demon or curses someone, thinking that they're only playing a game, might not the ritual still have efficacy? I think we know the answer to that question. Well, I don't. If you play it shooting at your friend in the head with what you think is an unloaded pistol, and don't know a shell is in the chamber, is your friend any less dead because you were playing? Well, I think that's a very disingenuous argument, because the proper one would be if you hold your fingers like this and shoot your friend in the head. Of course, he's not dead, because that's essentially what role-playing games are. I mean, it's just complete imagination.
We got one in here. I'm trying to find it, Double D.
Go ahead, see if you can. It was after that. It might have been after that Asterion one. Yeah, it's Patrick. Patrick has one.
Yeah, there it is.
There we
Found
go.
it.
Let's get this here. Our old friend
I
Patrick
was like
Demo.
McGruff the crime dog on that one.
Yeah. Patrick Demo, $5. I think Jack Chick deserved the crap he got. Yeah, I mean, I can see that. He's the definition of someone who writes completely uninformed. He called Tolkien a pagan, for fuck's sake. Yeah. I don't know. He thought he was doing good. I think he was very misguided. I don't know. Was he evil? I don't know. He thought he was doing good, and he probably did ruin some people with his stuff. So I don't know. I don't know what to think. What rituals in D&D? Yeah, exactly.
So I was trying to find it, but the only references I can see about this 700 Club thing seem to be a reference to some anonymous employee. It makes me think that maybe this is even a fake quote.
Well, bullshit. Yeah, that it has the smell of that. I can't see a writer being hired at TSR all of the sudden being worried that the rituals were too realistic. I don't know. It just kind of smells like I have, like I have a source or something like that.
As for that element of the appearance of evil, there are a lot of ways to interpret that, and you got to look at it a bit on the context of Paul was writing. He also wrote about how there are some people who the gifts of the Spirit, or whatever you want to say, their condition, their conscious perspective, or their awareness can allow them to do things that they will not fall into the temptation of sin, or fundamentally sin is a kind of narcissism, right? It's thinking you're better than God, right? And or that better than God.
Right.
Like, for example, let's say you've got some woman who becomes an Episcopalian bishop and decides to shit all over the president of the United States, when God in his, if you're a Christian, in the sacred law of your religion, it says very clearly women are not to be preachers, and but she thinks, and just like I guess every woman who's ever taken on holy vestments thinks that she knows better than God. God didn't mean her, right? So that's an example of the kind of hubris that can happen. But this is like what Paul was saying, is that some people can do certain things and it won't really be sin, but in your public appearance you should take care not to show this off, because then it can become a bad example to others.
Yeah,
I don't know if I don't think it necessarily. I mean, like, you can definitely take that line in Thessalonians and interpret it to mean you shouldn't do anything that could even give the glimpse of you being personally evil. But I don't think that's really I think Paul is giving instructions to members of the church. And I think that what he's saying is that you don't want to do anything that might mislead others, but
well said.
So it depends on how you understand it. Obviously, Jack Chick is going to understand it in a certain way. I wanted to add that I don't remember if it was John himself or somebody else in this thread that happened on X about this psyop thing, tried to claim that Jack Chick himself is a psyop, and I've looked pretty seriously at Jack Chick. I mean, he's been an institution for a very long time, right? And I'm pretty convinced that he is not a psyop. I'm pretty sure he really believes the stuff he writes.
He was earnest. I mean, he was definitely misguided, but I think he was earnest in his beliefs. Misguided as though they were. Larry's puckered butthole again, $2. The road to hell.
I mean, if you are somebody was saying that a Christian can take D&D and tell a biblical story. If you are a Christian, there are games like Baptism of Fire that feature, set in early medieval Poland during the Christianization of Poland, where you will be playing Christian characters that are fighting against witches, demons, and monsters in a monster-haunted pagan world. Or, of course, you can play Lion and Dragon in the Sword and Caravan campaign, where you can go and be a crusader on the Third Crusade. So there are a lot of options available for you. Now, those aren't Christian games exactly, right? But they are definitely games that present Christianity in a medieval, authentic, and in a benign light, which you don't see a lot in most fantasy games.
All right, so let's segue real quick. So this is 101 Sarmations. We'll get to your your super chats and that in just a moment. So this is a kind of like a source book for Baptism of Fire. Tell us just a little bit. Give us the elevator pitch for this book.
Right. So I'd done a little bit of I'd done a few Pundit Files issues that were also for Baptism of Fire, but this is the first large source book. It's 100 pages long, and it is essentially all about the nobility of Poland at this time, right? The noble houses, which were in this time, the nobility were formed in a kind of clan structure where there were a number of different clans that each had their own heraldic shields, as you can see one there right now. And they, some of them were very powerful, some of them were very small. They all had very different characteristics, and I talk a little bit about that in the Baptism of Fire book itself. When you're creating a character, there's a chance your character is a nobleman, and so he'll have that. But this vastly expands it so that you get much more details about each house, where they operate. It also kind of expands, therefore, the territory of the setting, the locations. And then it has 101 NPCs that are divided among these various noble houses that are, some of them are actual real historical characters from the time. Some of them are characters that are inspired by later people who were members of that noble house sometime in the future, because when you're talking about the 11th century, it's really hard to get a lot of information. So there's only a handful of people that we know of from that period. So I kept it along with finding biographies of people who were later on members of that same noble clan, and there's a wide mix of NPCs that have a variety of characteristics, challenges, things they can offer the player characters, or potential enemies, or what have you. Then there's a section that talks about what the culture of the nobles was like, which was called Sarmatism, because they believed that the aristocracy of Poland were descended from a group of tribal horsemen warriors called the Sarmations, hence the title. And there's random tables for noble intrigues that make up, like adventure queues, noble events. Yeah. And then there's a section at the back that has what we're there right now, which shows the different regions of Poland, and it lists what nobles are found in what parts of Poland. And finally, there's an appendix that is about the cult of veneration of saints in Poland, and so it lists the saints, the Christian saints that were popular at that time, and there's mechanics for characters to pray to saints, to patron saints, and what that prayer can get you, right, in terms of protection or assistance related to the specific patronage of different saints.
Very nice.
Where can people get that?
Well, you can get it at Drive-Thru RPG. It's available now, and in Drive-Thru you can get it for you can get it in PDF for $9.99, and then it also has softcover and hardcover in standard or premium colors. So a softcover standard is $24.99. And if you do buy it there, please give it a rating or a review, because that's always helpful.
Yeah, remember, you're not only supporting Pundit, you're actually supporting our friend Chris Miller. They're partners in this venture.
Yeah, that's right. Chris Miller did a fantastic job with, as usual, as he always does, with the cover and with the layout. The interior layout is largely filled with actual pieces of medieval marginalia, which are like, in medieval illustrated text, you had big pictures like, illustrated Bibles and things like that. But then you also had these funny little kind of almost cartoonish images that were doodled in by these monks. It was, and some of them are really wild. And he's used a lot of those in this book. So it's really fantastic artwork that accompanies the book.
Great job, Chris Miller.
Yeah, attaboy. Jeff from Denkars is celebrating 12 months of membership.
That's 1 year. That is one gravitas.
That is 1 year. Yeah.
Oh, there we go. He found what I couldn't. Look at that. Gali Sanchez.
Gali Sanchez was the one who went on the Seminar Club after 3 years at TSR from 83 to 86. He was involved with some of the Pace Setter books. Okay, thank you so much, Jeffrem.
Excellent research, Jeffrem.
Yep. Oh, boy. Ben for 10 pounds sterling. Hypothetical question for Pundit. You're an invisible ghost for 24 hours and can go back in time and visit any event in history. Where do you go back to? Ooh.
Wow.
Thank you.
That's the kind of question that requires a lot of careful thought, actually. I'm not sure if I could just answer it on the cuff, right? I guess it would be interesting to try to find some kind of a historical mystery if I would be able to observe and not be observed, and to find out what actually happened in some, particular case. But geez, that's a very tough call. 24 hours.
I'd go back to Waterloo. I'd go back to Waterloo. I'd want to see the moment.
You'd want to see the fight itself, huh?
Yeah, with like Marshal Ney's like, you know what? I'm just gonna fuck it. I'm gonna take this cavalry and I'm just gonna go and like you see Napoleon's reaction, like, what are you doing? Oh my God, what is that moron doing? Canadian hiking pole, $2 Canadian. He supports House Kielbasa.
House Kielbasa.
Thank you.
Thank you, Canadian.
Yeah, and remember, guys, you can also I have a direct link to this in the description to this live stream, so you can just click on that and, like I said, check it out. It,
So is that
like
Walmart.com, Chris, or is it in just regular Walmart? If you just go to Walmart, can you find it there, or is it at Walmart.com?
Something tells me you're not going to find it probably in your local Walmart.
Not local Walmart.
Yeah,
okay.
Probably on Walmart.com.
All right.
But yeah, like I said, the easiest one might be drive-through, but you can check out any of those other places. Yeah, so 101 Sarmations. Check it out. All right. Any final benediction here, Pundit, before we let you go?
Well, like as I said before, I don't mean any ill will to John. I thought he would appreciate, because at the end of the video, I talk about, in a way, what how, in spite of like the religious right, the moral majority lost every battle that they ever did in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
And yet, because of all of that, they've now kind of they've become stronger in the 2000s and have become a bloc that are now really to be reckoned with, as we've seen very recently. In a way, if there hadn't been a satanic panic, Trump might not have become president, because there wouldn't have been that kind of unity of Christian thinking, and it's been beneficial in a lot of ways. I'm sure there are a lot of individual Christians that still might think, well, we don't like the Mormons very much or something like that. But
Right.
But when you realize that you're fighting in a war for the culture itself, you need to look at, well, who's at least in the same kind of overall moral field that you are, and that was the benefit that it had, and the incredible thing is that they lost every fight, but they were right about everything they predicted. And I certainly, if I had to go back in time and try to convince 20-year-old me that it was all gonna happen, right, that the slippery slope was real, I would have said you're full of bullshit, but
Yeah.
It was actually, they were actually, not only was it right, it went way beyond what anybody thought it would be. They were if anything, they underestimated how bad things would get, and so this in a way was a
they seemed foolish,
tactical loss, but ultimately a strategic win.
Yeah, they seemed foolish at the time, and everybody rolled their eyes, and they were so uncool. At the end of the day, they were right about a lot of stuff, and we're paying the price for it. It's like, just look at something like OnlyFans, which is just like a plague on this world, just kind of dragging it down. I mean, that's sort of the kind of stuff that they were, kind of warning against. So we got to try to find our way out of it. It's not going to be easy, too. But,
yeah.
What are you going to do?
I mean, people like somebody pointed out, right? The Gen Xers have turned around, because it's very true that I think that there was in gaming, for example, there was a larger number of people who were D&D gamers that became disillusioned with either Christianity in general, or at least organized Christian religion in particular, because of the persecution of D&D. But now it's pretty clear that Gen Xers as a whole are starting to say, well, you know what, maybe these guys weren't that wrong. They were wrong about D&D, but they weren't wrong about the bigger picture.
Yes.
And in turn, the religious right has also started to realize that there are some battles that are way more important than others. And so
that's another lesson they learned, is how to focus a little bit more nowadays. Don't pick battles that are going to make you look really foolish. And they've picked the right ones, more or less lately. So
John, I hope that you'll still come on the RPG Pundit Encounter. I would love to have a very lengthy conversation with you about Christianity and the context of Christianity and RPGs. That would be fantastic.
Yeah, I think it would be a very cordial, respectful conversation. You guys might disagree on certain things, but I think
I'm sure there's a lot of stuff we agree on, even though I'm kind of a Jordan B. Peterson type of believer rather than than a traditional Christian. But I'm sure that we'll find again more common moral cause than differences. Yeah.
For sure. Well, thank you for popping in kind of last minute, and for your expertise. Guys, watch that video on his channel.
Thank you.
Yeah, check out my video because
Go to Walmart, buy that book.
Go to Walmart. Yeah, 101 Salmations. Yeah, link in the description, guys. All right, we'll talk again, Pundit, soon. Good job. Thank you.
See you soon.
Yeah, peace.
Yeah. Tell your local Walmart manager to start carrying it.
Yeah. So,
Chris,
all right.
that artwork, I liked it because I like the colors. I like how the figures looked, and it just looked like old school. I liked it. I liked it a lot, and I didn't even know Chris did it. And then Chris seems like a guy. If you needed like someone to hit a 3-pointer at the buzzer, he'd come through for you.
Boy, now you're putting the pressure on him.
No, I'm not. That dude's got it.
Yeah. So, and I echo like I said, I know a couple folks in the chat were mad at John, and like I said, when you pick that kind of a fight, you're gonna rankle some feathers. But I hope, and I said this, I guess it was kind of more aimed towards a similar thing is happening with Razor Fist and Melanie Mac. I think they're talking a little bit more about video games and kind of not wanting, for lack of a better word, they're saying, look, we don't need to go the opposite direction from where we're at now, where everybody's just kind of this trundled up diversity, whatever character. But they're saying we also don't need like half naked women all the time either, that there is kind of a middle ground. And, a lot of people were digging into them saying, Lola, you're policing our entertainment with your faith. I guess I always come back to, look, just, you can disagree with people and just say, hey, don't agree with you on this one.
Can't we just agree to disagree?
Right.
Yeah, it's like just don't. And I would encourage the same thing with John. Like, try not to take it personally. Like, I guarantee you, John probably agrees with everybody in this chat on probably about 90% of the stuff.
Double D, we learned who was the guy that people thought we were going to have on our show and it'd just be a catastrophe. What was his name?
Oh, gee, you're talking about Jeffro?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a good.
Yeah.
That was a good show.
It was a good show.
Yeah. Look, if you just kind of pull back a little bit and say, boy, that really rankles me. My jimmies are being rustled. But just step back for a moment and just breathe, relax, and just kind of be a little bit more.
You just said that phrase, just breathe.
Yeah,
that has come up so much.
Yeah, it has
in this
recently,
last 2 weeks.
In more more spiritual sense.
Yeah,
and it's kind of spiritual here too. It just kind of means, put yourself in the position of somebody else. Now, there are plenty of people we can put ourselves in the position of, and they hate our guts and want us dead. John is not one of those guys. John is a guy he has a great faith. He's a very devout guy, and maybe you are, maybe you aren't. But that's just him. So I wouldn't, like I said, just try not to take it like so personally. Melanie Mac is a few fries short of a happy meal. To be honest, I don't know much about Mel Mac.
We used to play a prank on a supervisor at the credit card place I worked at.
Yeah.
We used to go and get the lunch for the group, and me and this other girl. And we used to eat her fries like all the time. Like, she'd order a large and we would take a handful, and she'd come back and she's like, did you guys eat any of these fries? We're like, no, we got our own fries. But anyway, we kept doing it. And then this one time she's like, I can't stand McDonald's. They never give like the right portions. So one time we said, can you do us a favor? Can we just get like 2 large fries, which is now called a basket. But can you
Yes.
just give us an empty single wrapper?
Oh, God.
So we just shoved as many in there and then just put all the extras on the bottom. And then this like pushed her over the edge. She's like, see, look what I'm talking about here. And it just, when I saw that Happy Meal thing, it just triggered me to like, I don't know, the pranks we used to play on that poor woman. She deserved them. Bah, I digress.
I got something for the chat. You've wanted it. You've said you wanted it. Here it is again.
Like, you've got ogres.
You've got
It's the fucking
ogres.
like what's her name in that Nosferatu movie? She was like moving like that too. Like they do that in like these horror movies
yes.
nowadays. Like
Yeah.
they feel like they're vibrating at like 1,000 miles an hour. I don't know how that happened. I just cut it off of that interview. And he, like I said, he ended up looking like he was possessed.
Like, you've got ogres.
It's like just 1 second away from Jacob's ladder.
Yeah, yes. Twink headroom.
Pundit just
boy.
texted in. Where did it go? Right there. I got it.
Oh, awesome to all you guys. Oh, thank you guys.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thank you.
for supporting Pundit and Chris
Chris,
Miller.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Like I said, they got a nice partnership going. They make good stuff.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
When's the next quarterly mag come out for Chris?
Ooh, yeah, that's got to be coming up here, I think. Got to be coming up. Bruce Maximus, $5. Odd takes need to be gently rebuffed. Example, I'm against recreational drug use, alcohol included. I know I'm the oddball. Friends steer me toward normal. Yeah, look, I mean, I think, thank you, Bruce. That's salient advice. I think there's a way you can show that you disagree while still saying, like, look, but I don't hate you for it. Not everything is DEFCON 1.
Double D. I think that's called
2
civility.
weeks. Ooh, there you go. Yeah, civility. Yeah, exactly, Rogan. And it's just, I hate like when we cannibalize ourselves because we seem to do it to each other so much. It's like there's so many people out there who they're dangerous and they hate us and want us dead. And, here we are, just kind of like I said, it's like, it's DEFCON 1. It's go time.
What a great Valentine's Day gift.
Ooh, there you
Bam.
go.
Nothing says I love you
That's Scribe.
like Matt Scribe.
And look, I think, guys, if you have a great idea, now it's got to be professional, and you got to put in the work. But, I think Chris is open to submissions. If you have a really good idea, maybe send it to him via X and
Snail mail.
snail mail. Yeah. See if it's worthy of being in the pages of Mad Scribe magazine. He'll let you know.
Whoa. Snap, crackle, and pop.
Ooh, I will feature Playboy. Ooh,
Who's
Griffin
that?
Mario. I don't know who that is, but
I'm Googling that right now.
hubba. All right, did we?
What's Snake Oil up to? Check this out.
Oh my Lord! Gifted 5 membership.
Thank
you
you
so
so
much.
much. Thank you.
Snake Oil, as always.
I like that
You are a
it
gentleman
highlights who
and
they
scholar.
are right here.
Yeah. We can see now in the chat like who
Yeah,
got.
we don't
gifted.
know, that could be Greg Gillespie. We have no clue anymore.
Your name is Toby.
Toby.
That's okay. There we go. There you go. There's a little. We'll call that a little amuse bouche
I'm going to check
for the
out her
February
OnlyFans.
edition of Mad Scribe.
Yep.
Check it out, guys.
Just in time for Valentine's Day.
Honey, look what I got. Prepare to sleep on the couch for a month.
till the next magazine comes out.
For 3 months. Yeah. Thank you again, Sean.
Yep,
And
so
all you
nice.
all you guys who are
So
super chatting.
nice.
Do appreciate it. Appreciate also your I'll grab that one.
Okay.
Seeing as I got it. Appreciate all your input too. Being respectful. Can be a sensitive subject to a lot of people. I do understand. My experience with the Satanic Panic wasn't what other people's were. It just barely touched on it. Patrick Demo, $2. Example: I hate weed, but I voted to legalize it. Yeah, I'm in the same boat, Patrick. Thank you so much, buddy. And man, there are times when I really regret that, because you walk through our park in the summertime in downtown, it just reeks of weed, and I'm so tired of going places, and that's all you smell, and it's like
People.
Why
I
do you
made this
abuse
comment
it?
the other day about weed, cigarettes, and cats. People don't realize like how much you reek of weed, cigarettes,
Yes.
and your cat. You know?
Yeah, well, especially if you're letting your cat like go to town on your shoes and stuff. We've experienced that how many times at Gen Con,
Oh,
where you're
gosh.
standing next to somebody and you're like, dude, your
Oh.
cat just
Oh my God.
Well,
annihilated.
Hold
your
on, it
bits of
might
cat
not.
shoes.
That one might not be just your cat. It could. I mean, it could be. But also, did you know meth smells like cat urine?
Yeah, I mean that's possible. Yeah, that's possible. I mean, in this case,
I'm sure that it's cat, but
yeah, I'll keep that in mind.
but-
Actually, that's actually kind of interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I'm not sure I knew that. Yeah, but like Rogan and I have been standing like
that's a
next
little
to
mouse
people.
drop in there for you. Then.
Squeak, squeak. Yeah, but we'd be standing in like Gen Con or
Oh, yeah.
something like at the fucking dice place or whatever, and it's like, whoa, like
Yeah.
we're looking at each other like this dude just got wailed on.
All right.
Now look, we got a cat too. I'd like to think we keep
Double D,
her under
if
control.
I think you know that if your cat was stinking up the place, I'd probably say, "Hey, Double D."
Yeah, you got to lock that down. Yeah, please do. I don't take it personal. I am so paranoid about that. I buy like the top litter now, like the no odor shit. It's like $25 for like a small little thing of it. I don't care anymore.
I understand.
worth
that.
it.
I understand that paranoia.
Yeah, I mean it is.
I
It's like,
understand it.
especially with my house is like kind of like the focal point, especially for like D&D and this with these guys. So.
You're a fantastic host. You're welcoming people. Just come on over and come on in. Well, walk on in, say hi. It's you're very welcoming. This household is
thank
a
you.
central point for a lot of good things.
I would have to defer to Mrs. D on that because sometimes if you have a spouse who maybe likes your friends but isn't prepared to like house them for
What's his name? What's his name's
twice
wife?
a week.
What's his name's wife? Bravarna.
Yeah, like Bavarna's wife. Yeah, that goes to our birthright campaign the last couple weeks. Bavarna is like the professional wrestler type dude. I actually made a video of him, but I changed his name. But that's Bavarna from my campaign. Well, he knocked up a woman up in Hyas, and the characters went through there and spent a night.
Oh yeah,
She didn't want us there.
she was very polite about her.
No, she wasn't.
She was
She was firm, but she was a slow host. But
Jana was her name.
Yes.
And I'm like, well, all right, well, this girl basically just corralled this guy and got him to come back because she was pregnant and had a kid, and now finally has him there. And these knuckleheads come through town, and she's worried like they're gonna say like, "Hey, Bavarna, let's go. We got we got a job." So they spent a night in the house, and like Crazy Mouse said, yeah, she was very cool. Let's just say her reception was.
I think
cool.
she's a hypocrite. I don't like her.
she's a woman. She's a mother now.
Yeah, but
That's how I kinda had
she
to play her.
loved that whole lifestyle of his, and now she's like, now I don't like
I
it.
think she liked what it offered, but I don't think she liked him having that lifestyle.
She liked that lifestyle 9 months earlier.
Yeah.
once she got knocked up, I've seen how women change. Like after they have kids, trust me, it's all about the kid afterward.
Okay.
It's like, I don't want to say you're nothing, but you're definitely you're definitely not front and center. with
I've
them.
seen
He's got his conjoles in her purse.
that too. I've seen.
I don't
I've seen
think
that
I've
too,
heard
yeah.
that one. Cajoles? I like that.
I think Paulie said it in
I'm writing that down.
to Rocky. Hey, Paulie, what's a conjole?
So let's talk about our favorite icky creatures, the aberrations. This is, again, like kind of a cornerstone of Dungeons and Dragons.
This is their latest video about aberrations. We'll watch
It's like
this in a little
when what's her name said entanglements to Will Smith, Jada Pinkett.
yeah.
Some of our big heavy hitters, like Mind Flayers and Beholders, belong to this kind of gooey category.
bit. Gooey category. What? Calvanoni, our fearless mod.
Yes.
Bedding pellets. Better than any litter box stuff. Ooh, well, can keep that in mind.
I don't know what that is.
Bedding pellets.
There's a lot of things I don't know these days.
Speaking a foreign language.
And
I think, as always with one of these categories, especially one that doesn't have sort of a self-explanatory name, it's good to pause for a moment.
Yeah.
During this week off.
Oh yeah, let's see.
Let's watch it
I got
again.
so many comments like, "How dare you, comment on his cut?" Well, it's like it's there, it's front and center. What do you want?
What do
us
you
to
mean?
do?
Where were these comments at?
It was in the. I
the
think it was in
video?
the post. It wasn't live. It was like afterward.
Okay.
It was like one or
I
two.
still don't think it was a cut. I think it was paint. It looked very neonish
Yeah.
to me. Had a neon-ish.
Yeah, I think it was.
brightness to
paint.
it.
I think he's a V.
And talk about what do we even mean when we say aberration? Because when we say dragon, well, people know what dragons are.
Yeah.
But
Right.
when we did our video on monstrosities, we needed to talk about what the heck does D&D mean by a monstrosity. In some ways, I feel we have to even more pause with aberration because this is a loaded.
There you
They
go.
really
there
think
you go,
we're
Double D.
stupid. They really think people are stupid.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. For sure. I've never seen somebody talk down to their audience the way these guys do.
Wow.
Mallard Creek is the brand. Okay. It's usually used for horses.
Right.
Right.
Word. I mean, it means ick. And so why,
It's like it's such children.
even though there are icky monsters in
Mad Maggie. I can't. This dude just cracks me.
There's icky monsters.
Right.
Just like Pundit was saying before, like D&D used to have a little social cachet. Now you have one of the quote unquote designers. And good Lord. I'm sure Pundit could go off on that too. Saying icky monsters. A flamboyantly gay guy. Oh, icky monsters. A monstrosity. A dwarf that doesn't wear oven mitts when baking cookies. Ooh, yeah, he raw dogs it.
Raw dogging it.
other categories, and those other icky monsters are not called out.
Oh my God. Let's get some booze out. Every time he says that, we take a shot.
Icky monsters. Ooh.
Aberrations. So what we specifically mean when we put a creature into this category is
Oh, that's I know that monster. That's like a is that a chul? I was going to say chalt. I think that's a chul, maybe. Am I right? Wrong there, chat? The way this guy reminds me of Colin from What We Do in the Shadows. Just lifeless and soul-sucking to listen to, says Asterion for $5. Thank you, Asterion.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard he's not very helpful. I think I've said that before to some of the folks at WotC.
Penn and Teller.
Penn and Teller, yeah.
either
Jewel, thank
this
you.
is an icky creature that comes from the far realm.
He just said it again. That's
Yeah.
Yes.
four times?
Yep.
At least.
4 times?
Which is that realm in the D&D multiverse that is beyond the Great Wheel. It defies the laws of the rest of the multiverse. And in fact, if the Far Realm were to succeed at opening up and truly gaining dominance in the multiverse, the rest of the multiverse would collapse. It is this force that terrifies.
He just flipped you off again.
No, he's using his pointer.
All right.
Oh, really?
Right.
Way to ruin my fun.
Even devils and demons. It is, in a way, almost beyond good and evil, even though we code most of it as evil.
Yeah.
It is so alien that most mortal minds could not even wrap their head around how anything thinks in the far realm.
And that's the thing that makes it scary.
Yes, it is that unknowable quality to so much of it.
Such feminine energy.
Playful
with these
secrets.
Guys. Playful secrets. DB $2. Icky. Clearly a Perdo word, code word. Let's not say that. Let's keep it above board.
Tutti frutti.
Just a little tutti
Keep
frutti.
our eye on that.
And so aberrations are either creatures from the
It's like if you want to be GAY, that's I don't care, but it's like we don't have to be Liberace here. Yeah, I'm serious. We don't need to be.
Who played him? Who was that actor?
For
The TV show or the movie.
The
TV.
movie, yeah.
Yeah.
Is that the one with Matt Damon in it, or was
Yeah,
he?
it was the one with Matt Damon.
But
in
he
it.
was what's his Scott
friend.
Thorson? Yeah,
Yeah.
the guy who the guy who kind of horned
with
in on him.
Catherine Zeta-Jones. What's his name?
Michael Douglas.
Michael Douglas. Yep.
Yes,
He did a good job.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. Mac Thompson, $5. No non-drunk grown man is allowed to say "icky" in serious.
Let alone
conversation.
4 times.
Yeah.
Far realm, or creatures that popped out of the far realm and have been in.
Trying to think. That's okay, I guess.
It's not bad art.
Yeah,
right there.
I like it. I like
It
it.
doesn't pop, but it's not bad.
Is that a mind flare or something?
It is.
Oh, really?
Yep, you got it.
Icky.
Yeah, they just kind of have this problem where they don't push out their figures enough.
They don't.
They don't. It's like, oh, let's make this pretty cool mind flare, and then let's just set this purple
Is that
like
Quizzle?
pastel schlop. Yeah,
That's Quizzle.
The multiverse for a while, or it's someone who has been created.
I say these are a little better than
That's
the ones we
dynamic.
saw last time. What is this like a?
It's D&D 2. They already came out with a new one.
Is that like a beholder? Like what the f is that?
Oh, remember the new variations on creatures. This might be a new variation.
A lot of teeth there.
Yeah, a lot.
Yep.
They're in love with teeth in this edition. Remember that one thing had like 5
yeah.
rows of
Oh,
teeth
yes.
that it would have just
Mama's
several like
wrong
that.
again.
it would have just like punctured its own like
Yeah.
like mouth with all that. It looks like my baby. Ouch. Hey-o. I don't know what it is. I don't necessarily hate it.
Gibbering mouther. Is that a
Gibber. That's more of a Call of Cthulhu thing. But maybe they ported it in because they
That's their
can.
3 people said it.
Yeah, could be.
I can't pronounce that, Chris Miller.
An Otiug. An audio. Ooh, a tug. I never knew how to pronounce those either, Rogan. Yeah, that's actually, yeah. It's been a long time since I thought about that
Ooh,
that kind of a creature.
North of the Rockies is saying, how do you do?
North of the Rockies, $10. Good to see you here, my friend. He's using lots of roundabout language to describe primordial chaos from sword and sorcery and earlier mythological tradition. Yeah, he's got to millennialize it, so to speak, and basically make it unpalatable and boring instead of just using the terms that the masters used.
This was like the old version.
Yeah, boy, if that's an Otiug or whatever, that's a little different. Well, we'll see. Gibbering mouther. Okay. Yeah, gibbering mouther I can see. I was surprised they're using that. That was always the domain of Call of Cthulhu, right? Oh, no, wait, no. Wait, am I wrong there, guys?
No, I think
Am I
it's-
conflating something? Now I'm starting to doubt myself.
I think yeah.
No, the Shoggoth. No,
Yes.
the Shoggoth was Call of Cthulhu. Gibbering Mouther was always a D&D monster. Yes. Yeah. No.
yes.
I'm fine. I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good. Yeah. I'm trying to think. One of these was in an early adventure, and I can't remember.
Or altered by something from the far realm. And
Patrick Demo, $10. Listening to these guys talk down to their audience is intellectually offensive.
It is.
Yes, it is. I can smell their neurons working overtime. Smells like burnt soy, failure, and regret. Ouch. Patrick coming in hard
Yeah, coming in hot.
on Schneider
Go with throttle up.
and Jeremy.
so it's because of that range that, sure, there are some malevolent creatures in this category, especially the ones who are directly
Good point,
connected to the
Chris.
far realm, but we also have a few benevolent creatures in this category. The Flump, for instance, is in this category. I like to think that with the Flump,
I don't like this, okay, but it is the Flump, which is a creature that some people loved for some reason. I think it came right from the Fiend Folio, the original, the OG Fiend Folio. Some things don't need to be brought forward. This one was. They somehow made it a little bit gayer than like the
It
original.
looks like a toy you would get with a Happy Meal.
Yeah. I mean,
Like they're going after like, little kids with this one.
yeah.
I think his appendages are rather phallic.
Yeah, given the artists, yeah, probably. Like I said,
Like
it's
that right there and that right
Yeah.
there.
yeah, the left hand side, the kind of glistening one.
Well, those two right there,
yeah,
and then this one right here.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan.
That even the flump
here
on
to
some
have one of
level
these, I mean,
is its
whatever.
thinking is unknowable, meaning it has a cheerful benevolence. And we've all probably met people like this before, where this cheerful benevolence is unknowable.
Yeah.
Like it seems to defy all reality. And so in some ways, I just feel like the flump represents a different extreme from the far realm than
If they described Far Realms properly, someone in their audience would give the X safe spaces signal. Ooh, throw up the X
right.
card. Thank you, TWB. Not sure what this is.
Is that a different version of Flump?
It's the same. Pardon me. It's the same thing that I didn't even notice that there was a guy, a wizard or something, or a cultist or
Right.
something there on the right. Just because everything's one tone.
It's weird. It's almost as if like they were all at a table with a box of crayons and someone else had the other colors and
Yeah.
they just had that one.
Yeah, so they
Just
can,
like when the Mind Flare was all purple.
yeah, I'm taking all the reds. Oh,
Yep.
I guess I'm stuck with the kind of greens, blues. I'll see what I can do with them. Yeah, this doesn't really do anything for me. I mean, the monster might be a little intriguing, but again, it's kind of hard to kind of see what it is.
You don't get any
An
depth
aboleth?
to it.
No, that's not an. I don't.
That's three people all said
That's
that.
an aboleth. Oh yeah, the eyes. Yeah, the eyes. Yeah. Boy, they don't really emphasize the tentacles of those
No.
things.
Saying that, I can imagine that he's coming out of the water, but I have,
Yeah.
I had to imagine that.
Yeah, you guys just ran into one of these.
Yeah.
Cal Weird Mouth. Yeah, I agree.
Perkins ate the crayons, says Tony Clifton.
Stuck them up his nose and they got stuck. Excuse me, got to go to the ER. Yeah, I don't know.
say an aboleth or a mind flayer.
Too soon.
When it comes to creatures who
I don't think you do stop it too soon, Double D.
Have
I think
been-
it gives us a chance to think what we're thinking.
Yeah,
and
then it's confirmed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
either they confirm it or they're just like, right.
Yep.
shaped in some way by the far realm, people, when they open up the new monster manual, are going to discover.
I don't like the way he says monster manual. He says it like monster manual. Monster manual.
I bet you several years ago he didn't say it that way.
Oh, really?
I'm willing to bet that. It's like you build your habits, and your habits build you. He's riding onto a current right now, and it's just creating it. It's helping create him.
It's the monster manual.
Ever since that he heard us talk about his cut, he's not showing his hand anymore.
some new members of the aberration category. The two most prominent being the Githyanki and the Gitsarai.
Yeah.
We already showed that we were going to do this in the Planescape book that you led. And we did this because we really wanted to drive home for people in the game design itself that Gitsarai and Githyanki aren't simply people who happen to live in the astral sea.
Yeah.
Like they were a people who were completely transformed by the Illithid generations ago, and they have their own section in the monster manual
Just did it.
because
Thank you.
Monsters. The monster manual. The monster manual. See, that just looks a little weird. Like, just the
I wish
head.
it would had a little more definition.
It looks like one of those like big head characters. You know what I
bobbleheads?
mean? Like I was looking at it, I'm like, oh, that's like a big head. And now I can kind of see there's a lot of like jewelry in that kind of like causing that. So I do understand it, but it just doesn't quite track for me very
Encephalitis?
well. Yeah.
Because they have been transformed so much that they have all of these psionic powers. They live in an environment
Waste.
that would be mind-blowing to.
A bobblehead.
You know
How
what?
big is that waist?
It's really difficult with the sleeves flashing up like that. I'm like, I had to really look at it and realize, okay, there are hands in there. You shouldn't have to work so hard to look at a piece of art.
Yeah, that. Just I don't know. Do sleeves usually do that?
Oh, the puffy shirt.
I get that, but like the dynamic, how the sleeves are puffed out like that, and the gold things around it, and like, okay, I understand the pose. The arms up until the elbows kind of wash into the background. Then you had the blues come out, and like
The guy on the right is saying I was merely acting.
I was.
acting.
Yeah, I guess I want those sleeves to kind of be draped across, over the wrists,
right.
maybe.
No, right here, too many fingers. I was counting those, and I count 4 there, and the thumb tucked in, or is that a finger there and the thumb's over there?
Yeah, there's something jutting out there. I see what you're saying.
That wasn't me. That was no one.
Yeah.
Was it no one of consequence?
Yeah, there's no one of consequence. So. The whole pose is just weird because like I could see the sleeves doing that if she was like abruptly like bringing her hands down. There would be that moment where the hands were at the bottom,
Or
like,
if this was some kind of magic power going on. Okay,
Yeah.
it's flipping up the sleeves, but what about the hair or anything else? Well, are you going to show that dynamic as well? That power she's summoning or whatever's going on?
yeah.
But no,
There's nothing indicating any like motion or dynamism
right.
in this piece.
She's got sleeve trumpets.
It's just effed up
It is.
sleeves and
It's icky. Thank you, Chris.
she's got like a size 18 waist there.
Most people's,
Right.
because they live in a place where time does not pass, where just that very concept is, many of our brains would sort of blue screen for a while to process that. And so if people are wondering why now are Githyanki and Githzerai in this category, and again, this evolution actually started back in Planescape, it's because
Which Planescape? The original or your half-hearted or quote-unquote
Version
reboot? Yeah. DB, $2. I'm old enough to remember when the Gith were feared. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you look at that picture on the on the cover of the Fiend Folio. Yeah, they were kind of cool. Remember, guys, keep DB's. I believe your mother.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, keep DB's mother in your prayers. Apparently had a bad fire at the house, and even though she's okay, some animals might not have made it out, and
They're trying to find the kittens.
yeah, trying to find the
Sounded
kittens.
like.
So yeah, we're thinking of you, buddy. Chris Miller, Crazy Miller. I hate the new look for the Githyanki. I want to see the Fiend. I do too.
Yeah,
Chris.
that
Absolutely.
Fiend Folio. Double D,
Yeah.
didn't that one make it into your video in that video?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Hold on, I'll let it go here.
because they are way beyond humanoid. They are something else. And then in contrast, people, when they look at the new monster manual, are actually going to find a few creatures that used to be humanoids
Mr.
that have
Munster.
now actually been absorbed into our NPC stat blocks. For instance, orcs now, and you can find this on a table at the back of the book, are still in the book, and you'll see them in the art, but they're actually represented by the host of NPC stat blocks we have. Because orcs, like humans and dwarves and elves, are all part of the humanoid family, and we typically represent humanoids with our huge variety of NPC stat blocks. Whereas creatures that maybe used to be in the humanoid category where we've moved them into a brand new category, we not only have changed their type, but then we have typically amped up what is otherworldly about them. So you see that here for this, for today's topic, aberrations. you'll see that with Githyanki and Githzerai. That again, they are way beyond just the baker down the street.
Absolutely.
Oh, really? Back in the that pirate picture?
Yeah.
Didn't notice that.
Good eye.
Good eye.
Good eye.
Hold on one second. I want to go back. I'm going to go back a little bit. All right, so we're at 6:11.
Yep.
Gabe, it's because they are way beyond humanoid. They are something else. And then in contrast, people, when they look at the new monster manual, are actually going to find a few creatures that used to be humanoids that have now actually been absorbed into our NPC stat blocks. For instance, orcs now, and you can find this on a table at the back of the book, are still in the book.
Things get curiouser and curiouser, do they not?
This is rather telling.
So we got the good Lord. You got the Black Queen pirate with the hook hand. Very original.
Yeah. And then the white dude wears blue. Again, the motif of everything else is that purplish, pinkish, bluish kind of action going on. This guy's wearing blue. He's the bad guy. He's a white guy with a beard. Look how angry that white guy is.
Oh, yeah, he just got kicked off his own ship by a bunch of DEI hires. There's some brother in the shadows behind him, just raising his fist.
I do not see a wheelchair.
Yeah, it's implied.
Yeah.
It's implied.
Here's the X card for you right there.
Oh yeah, it's right on the ship.
Clever.
Yeah, right underneath the skull there. Yeah, interesting. Thanks for pointing that out. I didn't notice that. I'm sure it wasn't purposeful.
Yankee and a Githzerai, little different than a beholder, little different than this tentacled monstrosity. Part of what makes them aberrations is that they've been affected by the mind flayers at such a fundamental level that there's something unnatural about them. They're being manipulated even still. So
To me, they kind of look like Dr. Seuss characters, don't they? Yeah. I was trying to pin it down. I'm like, there's just something weird about these, and I think that's it. I think they do kind of look like Dr. Seussian.
Yeah.
There's a Walk-It in my pocket.
Just busted. Just busted.
the idea that these whole species still might have some agenda, still might have some role in the Mind Flayer greater plan that's coded into their existence, that's part of what makes them unlike other species of the multiverse.
I think
And for those that don't know, what is the defining kind of like separation between Githyanki and Githzerai?
So the Githyanki and the Githzerai used to be a single people. They were the Gith. But then there was not only the horrific genetic experiments of the Mind Flayers that went on with them, but then a civil war among the people where half of them followed Vlakath, the Lich Queen, into the astral plane, where they also then allied with red dragons, and in a way almost were like part of this theocracy with this Lich at the head of it. Whereas the others, who came to be known as the Githzerai, they fled into the plane of limbo, where they then entered a life.
I get a lot of mileage out of that one. Our friend Snake Oil, Sean, $5. The problem here is mystery is interesting. Over detailing a monster actually detracts from it as a storytelling element and an RPG device, in his opinion.
Absolutely.
Not just your opinion, yeah. Yeah, like I said, they were so proud of the fact that all these creatures are, in context. It's you don't need that for every one of these. If you want to do a couple of like nice big color plates like they used to in the old books, that's fine. But you don't need these for every single monster. Yeah, didn't the original Gith backstory include the S word, says TWV? Yeah. I believe it did.
life of meditation, and their response to what had been done to them was very different than creating this sort of militaristic theme.
He is the least scariest. There's nothing scary about that. Like, my God, the hair.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Yeah, that's so
really?
embarrassing. Now
Well,
that you
let's
see
focus on something positive.
Okay.
At least he has 4 fingers and a thumb,
Yes.
it. Yeah. They got.
and the pointer
or
the middle finger is longest.
Yeah, and it is done
It
right.
looks like it's around
Thumb
right.
pointing out.
But
Yeah.
he's
So
wearing a pantyhose on his arm.
That could be for those basketball fans out there. Those could be like one of those shooter sleeves.
yeah, sleeve.
He's a basketball player.
I could see that. It's just you pointed it out, Rogan. Just the hair.
Yes.
The hair is just
I don't even know how to describe it.
just like I said, blur your eyes a little bit. That hair will disappear completely.
Yes.
So it's already it already fails in that regard, but it's almost a blessing in this case because you don't want to see how goofy that hair looks. Oh my Lord, that's
if it was
Theocratic
blowing
order.
in a different way, he would have like partial cover, or like
Mm-hmm.
he'd be shooting into partial cover.
yeah, that's true.
And they might even be a little more aware that there's something that's going on with them and are actually focusing on their own mental development, psionics, element, discipline to make sure that if something does get triggered, they're not just going to be tools of the mind flayers again.
And we don't have to do a massive deep dive, but the mind flayers are one of those unknowable intelligences. But this is one of those unknowable intelligences that has an empire and a set goal.
I don't like how it's. Go back just a hair here, just a hair. It's always with the I guess what they call the bisexual lighting. Just it's always the purple and pink.
Yep.
It's
Yes.
like why? I mean I know why, but I just want them to know we get you. Okay, you're not sneaking something in. It's not subtle. We understand it. And the thing is, it's dragging your piece down because it's just this kind of mauve. It kind of just blends into this sort of like mess, this pastel mess.
Right.
Put on some pounds on him, and he looks like the Grimace.
He originally had 6 arms.
Grimace did. Robble, robble.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, it would be a little fearsome.
And a set goal that no one knows. It's that great plan. What is this plan? Not specifically what it is, but like it's referenced. We always reference it as that kind of that storm cloud brewing overhead for all characters in D&D.
So the great plan of the Mind Flayers is similar to the Day of Mourning in Eberron, where it is something that everyone knows about. Either in the case of people in Eberron know the Day of Mourning happened and now there's this Mournland, this devastated place, but no one knows exactly what happened.
Right.
Similar with the Mind Flayer Empire and its great plan, people know it's there.
Right.
People know the Mind Flayers have been orchestrating things both out in the open and behind the scenes to take over the multiverse. But people do not know all of the ways in which Mind Flayers have done it, all of the ways in which, it appears in many cases that the Mind Flayers have been defeated, but then you see them rise up again someplace else. We have seen this in recent D&D books like Fandelver and Below, The Shattered Obelisk, discovering that those obelisks that had been appearing for years in our adventures were a part of the Great Plan. And also what's even scarier is the Great Plan isn't just in the material plane. It's
Yes, guys, please eat a steak over the next 24 hours. That'll replenish everything you've lost.
also in other planes of existence. And so this is not just a storm cloud coming, it's almost like a whole planet that's about to crash. It's imagine if we looked up on Earth into the sky and saw, it looks like Mars is about to crash into Earth.
I know
it's
that's
that
reference.
scale. Like if the whole plan is ever allowed to come together, whole worlds would fall. And this is why mind flayers, as well as aboliths and beholders to a lesser extent, have not only been viewed as multiversal threats throughout the history of D&D, but also a number of these far realm creatures are viewed as also enemies of the gods, because these creatures, these far realm creatures, in some ways view
Show don't tell.
As a steward, I go into the office with somebody at work that messes up.
Yeah.
And I got to represent them in the union way. And my I say to every single person I walk in there with, we talk considerably before we go into the office to the HR person, and I tell them this: less is more.
Yeah.
Less is more.
Well, these guys need to hear that. Now let's see what Chuckles.
Teller's got something to say.
Secrets are make these parts of your campaigns, develop your own stories and mysteries about them.
an element too that is far less heady is there are new stat blocks in here, yo. And so
Wild.
And so like with the Githyanki, right away people are going to see one of the new types of Githyanki is the Githyanki Dracomancer.
Yeah.
And here we've created a Githyanki that really leans into the connection that the Githyanki have traditionally had with red dragons, and
The ambiguously gay duo.
Isn't that a set from Axe? Dragomancer? Axe spray?
Oh, yeah.
Dragomancer.
I'm just trying to see this. Yeah, I mean the flying fire thing is okay there. Just I now that it's in my head that these guys look like Dr. Seuss characters, I can't get it out of my head.
Yes.
They look so much to me like a Dr. Seuss character.
connection that the
Let's focus on something positive. Someone shared their crayons.
Oh yeah. Somebody got a hold of the orange and yellow. Yep.
There's some green in there.
Yeah.
Githyanki have traditionally had with red dragons. And so if you want a CR16 Githyanki Dracomancer to show up and just wreck things,
Yeah.
here you go. And similarly with Githzerai,
I just there's like a lot of YouTubers out there who have to pretend that like they're excited over this stuff. I mean, I don't want to say I feel sorry for them because look, that's the path you've gone down. You probably have way more subscribers because of it. But could you imagine like being like, oh yeah, man, this is gonna rock, and seeing this awful, washed out, just terrible artwork, and hearing these two just drone on and on. Like this is your worst nightmare when you sit down to a table, like at a convention,
Oh.
to have a DM like Jeremy Crawford, who just starts talking about stuff, and you have to realize like if you talk more than 2 minutes, like they're done.
Yes.
Like they have not retained anything.
Right.
So you better structure your adventure to be like, all right,
We have seen that so many times.
oh yeah, get into the action and show them. Don't tell them. But you see this mistake all the time with like DMs. He just loves to talk.
we now have a trio of options, the Monk, the Zerth, and the Scion, that, just as we've done in the Githyanki, show a range of power levels as well.
Still talking about that. Yeah, I'm gonna fast forward here, guys. I'm just gonna go to some random spot here.
While you're doing that, I'll remind everyone to go smash that like button.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
hit it.
I don't know what the delay is.
Hit
Yeah.
it.
Who might befriend you, like the Gith or the Flump.
Love to that.
Most of them, part of their mystique is no one but the DM ultimately knows what are they up to and why are they doing it.
Yeah.
And the decision they make about a particular group of Kuatoa or a particular mind flayer
Hey, what
doesn't
we
even
need
have to be
to
true for all of them,
is
because you
your
might find that
Crawford
one.
is, Cornolio or whatever his name is. We need him to filibuster for about 2 hours on this book.
Yeah. That's what it is. See, that one dude could say like right, and because the other guy's Schneider, he could go yep.
Cell of Kuatoa has a completely different set of bizarre goals from another set of Kuatoa And again, that to me is what makes them so fascinating as monsters.
Well, and in the Kuo-toa's case, that's very likely. They're not empire builders. There's not some great Kuo-toa agenda. Every different group of Kuo-toa that you run into probably has different agendas, different bizarre beliefs.
Yeah.
All of that. And that's part of what makes these fish creatures just so, like, what's the deal with them? They're just...
I don't know what I'm looking at.
It's like he's taking a poop.
Yeah, I don't necessarily hate it.
Right.
I like the Kuo-toa up top there. I wish, like, what am I looking at? Like, is that a crab taking up shelter in like a big helmet or something?
Yeah, some bizarre, perverse throne thingy.
All right,
King Fishman.
Yeah, maybe. I don't get though, like, I don't get the helmet right away. I mean, why it's there?
Right.
Is it like a statue or, all right, but it's made of metal, so it's not stone. What am I looking at here, chat?
It's got barnacles.
Hermit crab and helmet is lost. Yeah. I think we're on to that it's a helmet crab. But, like, I don't know. Shock the helmet isn't purple with a pooping Kuo-toa. All right, yeah, I think we've sussed it out. There's just a big helmet there that looks like kind of like a Spartan helmet, sort of.
Yeah.
A giant's helmet. Okay.
On a giant crab.
Guess that makes sense. Yeah. Okay. A giant. Yes. All right.
all a little off.
Weirdly enough, my inspiration for Kuo-toa is
That's
the
not
movie
terrible.
Midsummer.
Well, and when it comes to stat blocks, the Kuo-toa section has also expanded so that it now has the baseline Kuo-toa. We have a stat block for the Kuo-toa whip and a full stat block for the Kuo-toa monitor, as well as the Kuo-toa archpriest. Because before we had one of those cases where we had a sidebar where it was like, customize this other stat block to get this other type of Kuo-toa. Now we've built it out for you so that you get the 4 full stat blocks to play with.
That's good to know because we run into those a lot.
All the time.
Them so much. I started doing all of them with Tom Waits accents for some reason. It felt appropriate.
Whenever I do them, I give them the voice of, oh my gosh, what was his name? It was the fish guy from He-Man and the Masters of the Universe.
Oh my God, I don't remember that voice.
Yep.
Yeah.
I do that bubbly voice.
That bubbly, yeah.
They all sound like that.
I just went the other. I was just like,
So, what do you guys want to do today? Make a god.
it's just real gravelly. Like Kuo-toa that smoke way too
Exactly, I
much.
was about to say, they're smoking a lot.
They're smoking a lot. They just bob their heads up above water and vape. So we have a lot of really classic creatures. We have, amongst the aberrations, we also have one of the most unique personalities in D&D history. We have the Beholder. I love messing with Beholders so much. Beholders have nightmares that can become true. That is part of their gestation sometimes.
Just how it's so just fact. Oh.
It's hard to put into words.
But it's like these guys, and like you get these guys like the dungeon dudes, those two that I absolutely hate too. Same kind of energy. Like, hi, we're the dungeon dudes. We're gonna talk about Beholders. I'm just sick of it. I'm just so sick of this rank feminization of everything. This breaks the Geneva Convention. All right, well.
Chris Miller, you stop it.
Chris Miller, $2. By Gargling Smen? I don't know what Smen is, Chris. You have to...
They think they are the most important thing in the universe. They're so fun. I wouldn't say they're relatable, but they have personalities that we can all agree not to like. Tell me more about Beholders.
Yeah. Funko Pops, too.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So the Beholder has returned now with all of its eye rays fine-tuned. So what people are going to discover is that
rows of
some
them.
of the iRay options now are more dangerous than they were before, because something that we fine-tuned in the Beholder is, because this is one of the rare creatures where the typical way you DM a Beholder is you roll a die and it just randomly determines which iRay is shot off. We wanted to make sure that on average, the iRays were delivering the Beholder's challenge rating, which was not something we assured as thoroughly a decade ago. And so this time we wanted to do a better job of making it so that whether you're choosing iRays or rolling randomly, which is what we recommend, because that kind of gets at that really unknowable consciousness side of the Beholder that not even the DM knows what the Beholder.
Good Lord, man.
If you guys are watching this, Jeremy and Cornelio, send us a copy of
Jeremy
this book.
Cornelio.
Send us a copy. We'd love to have one. Seriously.
Fling character, like
Yeah, I don't know. It's like a whatchamacallit? Is that a roper? I've never seen people more. Patrick Demo, $2. I've never seen people more amused with themselves. Yeah, they are huffing their own farts, Patrick. Big time.
Chocolate Speedway merchants. You stop it.
What's that?
Ian, come on now. Come on, guys. Reel it back in.
like spelunking.
Come on. It's like those Scared Straight sketches from Saturday Night Live back in the day. Oh, come on now. You went too far.
Betty White was on that.
Across the ceiling, coming face to one-eyed monstrous face with like a medium-sized significant piercer.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, it was just like,
Piercer.
oh, these things mean business much more than I've ever given them credit for.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then, like we mentioned, the roper is another
Yeah.
one of those things that you typically you can run into in the Underdark, and just kind of the opposite. It's
Thing
just
with
like this towering rock-looking like thing with tentacles
We already
that
saw
wraps
that,
onto you.
And
It's okay, but just the teeth are just so ridiculous. I mean, I remember there was, speaking of Saturday Night Live, seems like we brought it up like 4 times now. There was a sketch way back in the day, and it was when Martin Short, I think, was on the cast of
Yes.
Saturday Night Live, and he was the president of like a joke company, and they were being interviewed, and they were like, "Okay, let's talk about your fake vomit. Like some people just have like a little patch, and they throw it on there, and it kind of looks like vomit." They're like, "Let's look at yours now." it was like this big, and it had like a whole sandwich like in there. They're like, "Why the whole sandwich?" It's a little puzzling. I feel the same way with these teeth. It's like they started and they could not stop.
I don't know if this was the example that we used last week. When they drew it, the editor gave it back to him and said, "More teeth."
Yeah. I gotta have more teeth.
and several of the creatures
Jack's right on this one. All of the art looks like it's half done.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, there's the makings of a decent, just kind of normal picture here. The roper getting.
we talked earlier about
Those teeth are just
some
absurd.
humanoids that are now in the aberration category. Some of these creatures used to be monstrosities and are also now in the aberration category, because a big part of some of the recategorization we
I
did
remember that.
Johnny
was
Bag
looking to get everyone into sort of the right place for
That was
how they
Zach
fit into the broader story of the D&D
heard of a little movie
multiverse. And
called
so,
Power
yeah, we
Woman?
wanted to make it so that like the roper and the piercer were a part of that broader aberration horror story. And to also help DMs maybe make a bit more sense of these creatures in their own world building, to imagine, whether using the story prompts we give or stories of their own, ways they can connect these creatures in their stories and in their adventure designs.
A lot of stuff happening there. There's your Audiug, Chris, right? That's an Otug, or however the hell you pronounce it, isn't it?
More teeth.
Yep.
Give me more teeth.
Give me a... Yeah, there's 2 rows there. What is... I mean, I hate to be Seinfeldian, but what is the deal with these teeth?
It's like a cartoon for commercial for Crest.
Yeah, where the
Cavity
creeps.
That's a cavity creep right
The
there.
cavity creeps.
We make holes in teeth. That's exactly right, Rogan.
Oh yeah, that little ditty is burnt into my brain forever.
The body horror is also kind of built into some of these creatures, like mind flayers. Adding a tadpole to someone and they eventually turn into a mind flayer themselves, or having their brain eaten and then they consume those memories. But with sloths, it's very much like that tadpole gets in them, or they are bitten, and the disease works its way through you, and you will eventually like erupt with a slad tadpole coming out of your chest. And there's a variety of them.
Exactly. And that's one of the things that makes Slot more than just like, it's like a xenomorph where it does this thing. It's like, no, these are creatures from a different plane. They're fundamentally magical. So.
Slad there? Yeah, you're right, Surly. Yeah, just very simplistic.
That
very
looks like the
childish.
shark from Finding Nemo.
Yeah, it does. It does kind of look like. Yeah, is that supposed to be a slot?
Was his name Bruce?
Yes.
Yeah, that's Bruce from Finding Nemo.
Tadpoles erupting.
Is that the little tadpole thing popping off there?
Yeah, it doesn't. It just doesn't look. It doesn't look menacing. That face is just too round. Too, even with give him credit. It looks like maybe there's only one. I think there's 2 rows, but he's missing so many. It only adds up to 1.
He's a cavity creature.
Yeah. He's definitely has not been flossing. But yeah, it's not real scary.
It's not just a matter of biology. It's not just a matter of.
I don't even know what to say at this point.
All right, so what is? I guess I missed something. There's like those are obviously tadpoles around. I mean,
they get in you?
Yeah. What?
Yeah, they like seep their way in. They eat your brain.
Oh, sloths are toad demon. Okay, I get it. Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
They're a
guess so.
demon.
Yep. I mean, it's just the colors. I don't mind the design of this one here. This one actually looks a little bit cooler.
Oh, Chris Miller with some trivia.
Bruce was also the name of Shark in Jaws. It was a nod to him in Finding. Oh, okay. Well,
There you
we
go.
Chris
Thank you.
Miller.
I'm telling you, just hit another. He just hit another.
I was going to say,
X happened, then Y, then Z. There's this magical element. The blue slot, the red slot, the green slot. They're the way that they create more of their kind is different each different way and has different results.
And people will find when looking.
Chris, that's bad. That hurts.
Fish are friends, not food.
Yeah. It's like where the wild things are. Like he's stomping.
Yeah.
Looking at the slod stat blocks, that we have amped up the otherworldliness of the creatures. You will find that maybe before.
How? Every background is the same, like ethereal pink, ethereal purple. It all looks like the same.
They all have the same motivation.
Yeah. Look, if everything is from the purple dimension, then, I mean, how do you differentiate anything?
Right.
Especially like creatures that we know are terrestrial.
One of them might have just wielded a mundane longsword. Now instead has a chaos blade where the creature itself doesn't even know what condition their attack is going to deliver. And you will see throughout not only these creatures, but actually many other creatures in the book, particularly otherworldly ones in other creature types, where instead of the mundane weapons that they had before, they now have attacks that really speak to their identity, their place in the multiverse. And again, the chaotic abilities of the Slod is just one of many examples of that style of design approach that we've taken in this.
I'm glad that they did. They seem to be very passionate about the Slod.
You get a magic sword.
Somebody just made us. I was searching for a salad joke. Yeah, my D&D tavern has a slot bar. That's Chris Miller again.
Chris Miller.
Chris.
Jesus.
Yeah, I honestly didn't even know it was
He
him.
hit another three.
Just like, yeah, geez, this guy's he's hitting threes at will.
He's on fire. He's on fire.
Book.
All right, let's talk about oozes. Everyone's favorite
Oh no.
Personal.
weird squishy things. But there's something about oozes that is just horrifying because we have nothing really kind of.
That face. Jeez. It's very concerned.
Yeah, like, he's looking.
All right, so right now I don't have a clue. I guess we're on oozes, so he's obviously concerned about this ooze, but boy, that's
As similar in our real world, but there's something visceral and terrifying.
Well, even with aberrations, there's usually something,
Some structure.
something where you can get, I get that. It's
Yeah.
got, maybe it has 2 arms and 2 legs.
Right.
Maybe it's got eyeballs, maybe too many, but with oozes, it's sort of the horror of, what if it was like an amoeba, but huge? What if it was just hunger, not even form,
Yeah.
just
Mouse is
hunger?
intrigued.
That's the only thing it feels.
We have talked actually often. If we were rebuilding the game from the ground up, would we even keep this category? Like, would these creatures end up, some of them in the aberration category, the monstrosity category? But for now, we've got it. And one of the things I love about the ooze category is, despite being a really tiny category of monsters, it looms large.
seems like it. Yeah, kind of seems like it, Ryan. Yeah, I'm not seeing too much here. I guess that's okay for a. You wonder why is it a cube? Why a cube? Like it's obviously took the form of something, right?
Well, it fits in a dungeon hallway really good.
Yeah, I guess.
I think that's the only reason, I think.
But
Are there hobgoblins in this book? Or are they all just these funny
Well, they're
creatures?
humanoids, so they're not monsters
well,
anymore.
to be
They're
fair to
NPCs.
these guys, this is a special video on their aberrations or whatever the icky monster.
Large, because like the gelatinous cube
Classic.
is so classic. It was heck even in the D&D movie,
Yeah.
and in the D&D Lego set,
Yeah.
and the number of times people have gone up against black puddings and gray oozes. It really is.
Then I could see it being square on 4 sides. But I mean, most of your corridors aren't. They don't. Some of them end, a little bit longer than 10 feet or whatever. So I don't know.
Way out of scale with how puny this creature type is. And so it's one of the reasons I love that as we've been leading up to the release of this book, one of the new monsters in the book that...
those things that go around your glasses to keep them... They're like rubber band type things, and sometimes kids have to wear them if they go down a water slide or a roller coaster. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He needs a pair.
Yes.
Yeah.
See that? Like he has it's not a nervous tics. He's not nervous talking about this, but he just has a habit of just doing that with his. If he was a sexy girl doing it with like a clipboard and like a lab coat on,
Yes. That would be very different.
Yeah, that'd be different, but it's not. He's talking about icky.
Hey, we are here at the D&D Wizard of the Coast special event.
Yes.
This is from earlier, but I just stumbled
that?
across this. I don't know who these people are. I saw this on, I think, TikTok. This is the D&D press event, but it just kind of shows you, like, all right, so
That ain't Ginny D?
No, that ain't Ginny D. She's some bargain basement.
We got Marvelous Mr. Mean hitting us
There
up.
we go. I bet Jeremy is a big fan
Stop
of
it,
you.
stop
Hey,
it.
$9.99. You got your money's worth. Now get out of here.
Playful secrets.
Playful secrets.
Really super cool. Let me show
But this is like an official press event. Like this is who when when we say like they don't want us as customers anymore, they really don't. Like this is who they want. Drink them
The
in.
ballroom was so fun, very pretty. I think the first thing that caught my eye, though, was how many third-party publishers Wizards invited to show off all of their modules and expansions. We all know what happened last year with the OGL, and they have said that they're trying to do better.
I love all these people hated Wizards of the Coast for that whole OGL thing. And like a lot of people called it. I think even I did after a while. Like in 6 months, it'll be all forgotten. And sure enough, like they just pay lip service to
make sure that their community of creators knows how important they are to the survival of this game.
There you go.
Is that an elf?
Drink them
Right there,
in.
a real live one?
Yeah. Very elfish features, I
Yeah.
would say, yeah.
The new focus of the handbooks is about bringing new people into the
Your hair.
Yeah. Oh, there's one of them. Speaking of the dungeon dudes.
Is that one of them?
Yeah, that's the Scott Thorson one of them. I don't know what their names are.
Frick.
Oh, God, I don't like those
Frickin'
guys.
Frack?
Yeah, freaking
hobby and making it easier and more.
Yeah, I mean every person he's taken a picture with, like you said, Crazy Mouse. It's a danger here.
Fun to run.
How old is?
Let it run through. Let's see.
Yeah.
Games. They've added more apex predators like Tarrasque-sized gelatinous cubes. They've added treasure tables to the monsters to make it easier to run them. I spent a couple days with the player's handbook, and these changes are evident. It's clear that the people making Dungeons and Dragons
there he is.
love this game. What do you think?
No, he's not.
Yeah, they love you. I put a little stinger on the back end here.
If someone goes by she, then call her she.
Yeah?
If someone goes by he, then call him he. If someone goes by they, then call them they. It doesn't mean it'll turn you gay.
Oh,
Stop it.
that was awful. She looks like old Greg.
All right. All right. You want to do a little bit of auto enrolling?
Let's do that.
Who's no?
No?
Rorik.
Yeah, I'll do
Rorik.
that one.
Sorry. All right, hold on. I'm going to try something here.
Yeah.
Ooh, there we go. Okay. All right, guys. While these guys get ready, we're just going to do a little bit of our live play. It's been like a month and a half probably since we've done a proper session. So those of you that aren't interested, we'll say goodbye to you guys. Yeah, why the hell not? We'll say goodbye to you right now. Thank you for joining. Thank you to Pundit 2 for coming on. But for those of you that just want to hang around and just soak in just a little bit more of us, I got good news. You can. The water's warm, yep. Jeremy Crawford was just in here. All right, so yeah, those of you that are taking off, I appreciate it. We'll see you guys next week. For those of you, faux shizzle, as the kids say these days. But for those of you sticking around, well, here we go.
Good night, everybody. Good night, Chris. Hitting all them threes.
Yeah.
MVP tonight.
Absolutely. Hit it right
Larry
out
and
of the
Jaco,
ballpark.
good to see you, buddy. Long shot. Make Lake Geneva great again. Ooh, baby. All right.
Oh, good night, Cal.
All right, I am just going to check something on me phone. It is game related, actually. It is game related.
Marvelous Mr. Mean got in there with his quick little super chat at the end there. Hit him and forget him, he says. Tony Clifton sticking around.
If someone goes by she, call them she. Okay. All right. Some of you guys are leaving. I'll give you one. I'll give you one last quickie. Hold on 1 sec. 1 second.
Like, you've got ogres.
You certainly do.
No ogres here, amigo.
That's wild how that happened.
No ogres here.
Who's that handsome dude? Who's that good-looking lady? Why is Ellen Page hanging
Why is
out?
Elliot Page there?
Elliot
Page.
Dark and mysterious. Oh, we love Otto.
I just had my top surgery.
If someone goes by she, call him she. I think he needs penicillin. Oh boy. All right. So we pick up the boys plus Aurora. That would be Rorik's chick. Have made the trek all the way from the free cities in the south over the ocean back to Fagland. Dead naming again? Yes, we are, Surly. What are you going to do about it? Eat a steak, Elliot. All right, well, he's going to have his chance because I think they're coming into to Westfell, which is the capital of the empire.
You are correct.
Now they're not alone. No, sir. They met up with someone named Tyrus. He's a middle-aged guy trying to find his big score.
Mm-hmm.
So he has a treasure map. He promises it leads up north towards those mountains. Now, he was originally going to make a deal with Brute Dan and his group, but they double-crossed him and took a copy of his map. So they may also be going there. A group of rapscallions.
It's like that movie National Treasure.
Yeah. Who's going to get there first? So you guys have wound your way up and gotten to know each other, fairly well. You guys, there's no reason to distrust Tyrus. He kind of needs you, but he has the map. And you're still trying to, I think, decide, how you're going to split the treasure. You said maybe you'll just do that at the time. So he says, look, we can go to the capital, which neither of you have ever been to before.
Mm-mm.
And we can stock up, supply up, and then quickly head on out. All right, so we'll pick it up when you're on that road kind of coming in from the side there. I guess that would be the eastern road. After many, many days of travel up through some of the cities, all of a sudden, stretching out before you, you hear Tyrus tell you, "Behold, Westfell." A smile comes across his face. Our beloved capital. Aurora hasn't been here either. And she says, wow, that is very impressive. You see, this is definitely a walled city, but it sprawls out pretty massively. And in the very center is kind of like a raised up fortress or capital. It's kind of on this very large hill. And that is pretty massive too.
Impressive.
Indeed. You see a couple of other towers jutting up too. And he points to the main castle fortress. He says, the Iron Fortress, where our beloved emperor lives. Oh, and there's the Scholar's Spire, where the most learned people in the land come. And he just kind of notes a couple of things here and there as you're pulling in. As you can imagine, lots of traffic going in. This is very. This looks like a kind of like a shining city on a hill, sort of. That has that kind of energy to it. You're seeing, from what you see right now, seems very clean. You're only, as you're kind of entering, you're not seeing obviously the worst parts of it, but what you are seeing as you enter it. Boy, this really is impressive. Just sprawling structures, going up all around you, all kinds of vendors, set up in stalls, just street vendors, just the equivalent of like guys, like selling watches out of their jacket, just all kinds of stuff.
Would you like to buy a letter V?
Yeah. So all kinds of commerce going on. We'll say it's daytime, so it's not late enough for the other kind of vending, if you know what I mean. But Tyrus turns to you and says, "Well, what do you think we need? You guys are all in the wagon, I believe.
Yeah,
is that right?"
Yeah. And as far as for supplies, I think we're not familiar. I mean, we need mountain gear, right?
He says, maybe a little bit. He says, where we're going, there might be a little climbing. He says it shouldn't be too rough, though. He's like, still, some rope, and some grappling hooks, maybe some pythons and other things. Might not hurt to have that. He says, certainly some emergency food supplies. We will have some villages along the way, and then I think, it gets a little, let's just say a little less populated the further north we go. There are some cities up there, though.
The climate gets colder.
He says, yeah, it'll be a little chilly. He says it won't be too bad, but you should have a couple of furs. He says, now we can keep this wagon if you want. He says there are some areas that it might not go over too well, so maybe we should at least have enough horses pulling it in case we need to ditch the wagon. Maybe we can at least ride even if we're doubled up.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
He says, well, this is your wagon, he says, and you guys have, I think, maybe 2 horses on it.
That is correct.
All right. He says, maybe I can get, I'll try to work and maybe get 2 more. That way, we'll be good if something happens. And I'll get the, the harnesses to hook it up. And we should make good time, with 4 horses pulling. He says, so I'll tell you what. He looks around and he says, this place here. The Crimson Cask. He points to an inn on the corner, a very busy corner. He's like, that place, is probably big enough. We'll definitely have rooms for us, I would imagine. Say, meet back here later on. He says, as far as the wagon, he says, unfortunately, you're going to have to go down this road here. He's like, you can essentially like park it, down there and stable the horses for a small fee. He says, I'll get the 2 horses. Will you be able to handle the stabling fee?
Oh, absolutely.
All right. Cool. He says, meet back here just later on.
Okay.
Then we'll get some rooms. So with that, he takes his leave. He says, I'll get some rope too. He says, if there's anything else you think you need, he's like, maybe you guys could get the food as well.
Sure.
Basically, all the little nitty gritty details of the stuff you might need. So if there's anything major you think you might need, let me know.
Gallon of bread, loaf of bread, and stick of butter. Who remembers that?
I do.
Oh, yeah. So Aurora looks at you two and she says, well, let's head down the road, I guess.
Let's do this.
As she's sitting, kind of between you, she says, do you think this Brute Dan and his group are people we're going to really have to worry about?
I think that we should.
I agree.
Greed. Be surprised what people will do.
She says, well, while we're here, she says, I could use a nicer rapier.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
She says, I know a little bit on, some of the moves. So she says, between that and this, and she takes off her hat.
Yeah.
She says, I'm a little bit more dangerous than you think.
Oh, I know you are.
And with that, she says, she gets up, her beautiful can is in your face, Rorik.
There it is.
And she says, I'll meet you back at the inn. And she jumps off, at like a stall, like a blacksmith stall. You can hear the tinging of the hammer and just people teaming around. Just picture a busy street with people teaming. You guys have to go really slow. You do see the stable up in front of you. So let's not belabor the boring stuff.
I tell you what, I'll send Rorik with Aurora, and I said I can handle the horse. You stay with her.
Are you sure?
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
All righty.
I'll hop off and I'll join her.
All right. We'll just say Otto. It goes smoothly.
Yeah.
Couple of silver per night to stable, and you can make it for as long as you need. You go back, and she's just trying to look at some of the stuff, hanging, and then you just going up to her, or are you just,
I'll kind
are
of.
you watching her from a distance?
At first, oh, absolutely. Yes.
I'm watching you. Yeah, she sees you, and she says, "Oh, you didn't go with Otto?"
He wanted to do it by himself.
She's like, "He probably thinks I need watched over."
Maybe.
She says, well, hopefully I can disavow him of that. She's like, I do know how to thrust this, the pointy end here. And she finds one. She says, whew. The blacksmith, kind of leans over and says, oh, that's a good one there, miss. Your man will, he'll love it as a gift.
I'll let her handle this one.
Yeah. She just chuckles, and she says, "Oh, my man prefers a heavier blade. This one's for me, kind sir." And she says, "You don't mind if I take it for a little spin, do you?" And he's like, "No, by all means, do it." So she stabs a bum. No, I'll take it.
What's his name? Jeter.
Oh, yes, Jeter. Yeah. Yeah, no, she just kind of flourishes it around, and as you're looking at her, she's got some hidden skills, that maybe she's been kind of, keeping under her hat, so to speak.
Back a little.
Yeah. Yeah.
She says, "Let me see that one," and he takes it off and gives it to her. Now there's like a group of people, like all the people that were at the stall, just kind of.
Yeah.
Window shopping, so to speak. Now they're just all turned and watching her.
Yeah.
And she's got both of them now, and she's just kind of doing her.
One in each hand.
Yeah.
Oh, that's dynamic.
Yeah. But she's not kind of fighting. She's just trying to determine maybe which one has a better weight because she changes the hands. And she says, I think I'll stick with that first one. And she goes over and, gives back the other.
How much?
Yeah, the guy says, "Well, that's really finely crafted, as you can see. I wouldn't let it go for anything less than 15 crowns." And she's like, "I'll give you 12 for it." He's like, "Oh, He says, 13. And she's like, "Done."
I slap it on the counter. I pay for it.
Yeah, she doesn't mind.
She's probably very used to that, but that's all right.
She smiles, and she taps you on the rear end. She says, "I'm going to pay you back when we make this huge score up there."
I hope so. I can't wait to watch you use that.
Yep. she actually asks for like a sheath too. Pays a couple crown extra for that. And she fits it into her belt and says, "Yeah." She says, "Well, at least I'm not totally useless now."
Oh, I don't think you were ever useless, but this is a good side. This is a good side of you to see.
Just then, you see Otto coming back up from the stables, walking in your direction. So you guys are all together. Is there anything else you wanted to do in the city?
Just the rest of the gear up. Like those odds and ends that we need.
Okay.
We'll bounce around.
Yeah, I mean, and look, we don't need to belabor this for the poor people watching. Just standard gear. Maybe take off, like clothing wise. Are you getting anything extra there?
Probably some, cool, warmer weather clothes. Stuff,
Okay.
Yeah, for cooler weather. Clothes for cooler weather.
All right. Definitely some furs you can, and some blankets and stuff you can grab. She says like, "Oh, some cushions. The ones we have are just wiped out." Like she's like, "We need cushions, for the journey up."
It's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, a scarf and a vest, says
A puffer
Meat.
jacket from Old Navy.
Yeah, puffer jacket. I like the scarf idea. Yeah, maybe she'll. Maybe on her, she says, "I'll take care of the cushions." She says, "If you don't mind, dear."
Yeah.
Oh,
absolutely.
Yeah. She says, "I think I saw someone." She's like, "You two go to the bar, or when we're done here, and I'll meet you back there." So we'll just say you guys all go get all your shit, okay? And when she comes back, she has a beautiful scarf. What color, Meat? What color is that scarf? And she has 4 very nice cushions that you guys can sit your asses on. It's the jacket. So she comes back, meets you later on just as it's getting dark, and then you see Tyrus, and he's like, "I've secured 2 horses, put them in the same stable." Under your name, Otto. He says, "We're good to go." And he basically says, like, "Look, I'm really tired. I'm not as young as I used to be. I'm going to go upstairs." He pays for the rooms for you guys.
Okay.
And just, he says, "I hope you'll excuse me. I'm gonna go to bed."
Mm-hmm.
So the Crimson Cask is a, you got a feeling every inn here is like, it's like a tourist area of the city because it's maybe so close to the East Gate. But you're looking around, this place is like just packed with people. Like it's just nonstop. Like people coming, people going, people coming, people going. You see some of the guard and Otto. Some of these guards, they look a little. You remember Christopher Lee from earlier on?
Yep.
They kind of have that. So maybe that like jogs a memory for you, not just of him, but maybe of like Roland too.
Mm-hmm.
When you
I
see,
miss my dear friend.
Yeah, I'm sure you do. You're getting used to. Look, like Roland was like Trapper John.
Mm-hmm.
Rorik, he's he's BJ Honeycutt. He's your new your new.
I like BJ Honeycutt.
Yeah, he's all right. I like Trapper John. I'm an old school MASH guy, but you're definitely getting used to him, and you're definitely warm to each other. Seem to get along well. Aurora is nice to have as kind of a, I don't want to say a buffer, but as somebody you can kind of always be counted on to kind of have something to talk about, or talk to. So you guys have a nice little thing going. He's the second Durwood, yeah.
I liked him too.
Oh, it's for him. I thought it was for her. Yeah, Trapper got that spin-off show, and they got somebody who didn't like, it was bald and like it looked nothing like Wayne Rogers.
Trapper John MD.
Yeah. Well, you know what, Meat? She got a scarf too. Maybe all right. So she gets one for him.
All right. All right, Meat, what are the colors? Throw them at us.
He said, Otto looks like Alan Alda, younger.
Okay, I'll take it.
When you're stepping up from Elliot Page, I mean, look, even Alan Alda is an improvement, right? I mean, it's all right. So, you're listening to "No More Sir Kindly" by the Bard there. Basically, just enjoying the the mood in the city.
All right.
This is a really big city, very cosmopolitan, all kinds here. Pretty much all human.
I've been to some cities. I've never been to the big cities. And this is a very impressive city.
Yeah.
Almost overwhelming.
Yep. Yeah, you're literally just scratching the surface, but you're looking around, you're seeing all like 2, 3-story, buildings, just businesses, residences, inns, taverns, all kinds of stuff. As you're kind of draining the ale, she says, "Well, when do you think we're going to get underway? When do you think he's ready?"
I think tomorrow morning.
She's like, "Ooh, I like that." Get
He doesn't want those guys getting too much of a lead on us.
Yeah. He, he's upstairs, and she says, "Well, if that's the case," she's like, "maybe I'll go to bed too." She's like, "I'll let you two have a little companionship." She's like, "But
check this out. Look what the cat dragged in.
Hungar."
All right.
Better late than never. Good to see you, buddy. Good to see you. Hail Hungar, indeed. Yeah, so she goes up, and of course, when she goes up, almost all the guys in the bar are watching her, go upstairs. But she, very erudite manner. She looks like Melania Trump at the inauguration with that hat, just like she's owning the place, right. And just up the stairs, boom.
That's okay. They can all look. I've been hitting that.
That's all. You're going to hit it later tonight. Yeah. So, you're more than welcome to. There's there's merchants around you. There's guys that look like they could be a little thiefy, if you know what I mean. There's city guard. There's maybe even like one of the palace guard here. He looks a little bit more, jazzed up than the others. And as the night goes on, you're starting to see some ladies in the night funnel in. That would be more for you, Otto, if you chose to indulge.
I'm going to pass.
Okay. Yep. Very noble. Stoic man. And that's profiling. So what? You don't, generally speaking, you're not being bothered here. This is such a busy, touristy sort of area. Nobody's that you can see is, nobody is bothering you.
No lady orcs, I don't think. No.
I haven't seen any.
Otto, as you get up to get a drink, one of the less savory looking guys kind of bumps into you with his ale a little bit, spills on the shirt.
Okay.
You can feel his fingers in your ribs for just a fraction of a second.
Yeah, I'm gonna put my hand, cat-like reflexes back down to his hand that's trying to pickpocket me.
Yeah, make it just a quick dexterity check. I know you're aware of it. Let's see if you catch him red-handed. So either way, you're gonna succeed because he failed.
I rolled a 13.
Underneath?
Oh wait, I'm sorry.
I remember it's got to be under your dex.
Yeah, I apologize. I rolled a die 20.
Yeah, you should have.
Wait.
Yep.
What am I? Double D. Am I doing abilities and spells? Is that what I was looking for? Oh, okay.
No, this is just you. He failed his roll. So this is just to see if you can grab his hand. And
I got it.
Yep. Yeah, which you do. And he's like, oh, man, I thought you had something on you. He's like the lamest excuse.
Yep. I'll bend his arm backwards awkwardly.
Ooh, all right, yeah. With your successful roll, I'll allow that. And a couple people are kind of like stopping what they're doing.
I'll step closer.
Yeah. Nobody's like interceding on this guy's behalf. It's almost like they understand what's going on.
Yeah.
you hear the innkeeper. He kind of yells. He says, "Aldrich, I've told you." He says to you, Otto, is he giving you any trouble of any kind?
No, he was just leaving.
He's like, "Well, he better be." And he says, "Hey, I was just trying to help, man." He's like, "You can let me go, brother."
Not on me, my friend.
He's like, "Hey, it's okay. It's all right. It's all good. We're good here." He's like, "Bertrand." Psh. He like his friend. He like stands up. He looks like another kind of unsavory looking guy.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like James Cromwell, the actor. Like really tall, like a thin face. Kind of a hawk nose. Bertrand does, that is. He kind of walks through, and the two of them leave together. One of the waitresses goes right by you, Otto, and stops and says, "Was he trying to pilfer your goods or your coin purse, sir?"
He was. Unsuccessful.
He's like, "Well, that's the last time. He's been caught doing that here before. We've told him." He's like, "We don't want that kind of reputation.
Take a finger
for this." He's like, "Well, if you'd have accused him, the town guard could have done something."
See you, Mac. Have a good night.
Yep. See you, Mac.
Good night,
We're
Mac.
almost done here too, guys. She says, "I understand maybe why you didn't, but if you want to get rid of these kind of people, you have to tell the guard." And then she says, "Excuse me," and she goes on to her tables.
Mm-hmm.
With that, that's your excitement.
I
One
look
botched pickpocketing.
I look at Otto and I nod. I'm letting you know you did the right thing. We don't want any,
We don't want any trouble.
Yeah.
We don't need no sticking badges.
I'll head up to bed.
All right.
My room.
And I will too.
All right. Well, Otto, you have your own room. You have the room with Aurora. So when you walk in, she's under the sheets and says, "I was just getting ready to nod off and go to bed." She's like, "But I'm glad you came up before I did." And then the candle goes out.
Fade to black.
Yes. All right. So in the morning, Tyrus does say, he's like, "Well, you start comparing like everything that you got at like breakfast downstairs." He's like, "Well, I think we have everything we need." He's like, "Do you want to go right now?"
After we eat, we can head right out.
He's like, "Well, he's like, we can come back here and celebrate once we have all of our riches."
There you go. I like the attitude.
All right.
All right. So consider it done. Yeah. You guys eat, load up, get some last minute rations. Otto, you can go get the wagon, which now has 4 horses. It's gonna be a lot. It's gonna be a pretty fast ride now.
I'll do that. I'll head out.
Yep. All right. Once you load it up, you're pretty much good to go. Like we'll just say you guys get in.
Slap those cushions on first.
Yeah. Put the ass cushions down. Yeah. Aurora's like, "Oh man, my hemorrhoids are killing me." What?
From the seats or from?
We'll say with that, you head right out the east gate again in the mid morning, and then pretty soon you turn up the. You can already tell it's a less used road up to the north.
To Kingshold?
No, this would actually be towards the top right of that map, that general direction.
Okay.
We'll fill it in a little bit more later on, but no, maybe you ask and say, "Will we be going near Kingshold?" And he says, "No. Our destiny lies a little bit further east of that and to the north."
Head east.
Yep. And mainly north now. So, all right. So with that, you're on the road. There's a little bit of traffic here, but already not nearly as much as on the east-west road. So up the north road you go, and we'll come back to that later on. Alleluia. Alleluia. Alleluia.
Everyone, thank you for a great show tonight.
Yep.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you guys so much.
Oh,
my Lord.
Got one.
I see it. Go ahead. Give it a little.
Give it some love.
Give it a little. More watchable than Critical Role.
Thank you.
More dick jokes than Critical Role, Rob. Thank you. I do appreciate
Thank
it,
you.
buddy. Yeah. Yeah. Hey. some of you guys still like it, so we'll keep doing it. Yep, and we are playing just the Dragon Slayer system from our friend Greg Gillespie. Good game. All right, I think that's it. Thank you all. Yep, thank you, Cal. Thank you, as always, Cal, for being here. And all you guys super chatted, your new members, giving out memberships.
Much appreciated. And just the witty banter tonight. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you guys were good.
As always.
Yep, do appreciate it very, very much. All right, let's tell you what. I'll give you a little one more time.
Like, you've got ogres.
It's like he has palsy, doesn't it? Oh, you've got ogres.
It's like Tua when he gets
Like, you've got ogres.
It's brutal. All right, guys. Thank you very much. Tell you what, we'll give you a little holy diver on the way out. How's that? Yeah. All right. Love you guys. No specific videos planned for this weekend. If something comes to me, though, I might film it. So I've been actually putting out videos a lot more regularly. So hope you've been able to catch some of them. If you haven't, watch them.
I caught the thief one.
Yep, got the thief one. 101 Salmations. Chris Miller, RPG Pundit. Check it out. Link in the description below.
Go to Walmart and buy it.
Go to Walmart, your local Walmart. It'll be right on the shelf when you walk in.
Or crazymouse.com.
All right, guys. We'll talk to you soon. Peace. Love y'all. Adios.
Good night.
Good night.
Something is coming for you. Look out! Race for the morning. You can hide in the sun till you see the light.